कैसे आवाज आ रही है? हेडफोन लेके आना। वो अंदर है।
ब्लूटूथ बना आपको बना
Good morning. We now have about 30 odd people in this thing, and they're still coming, but I think we will start. I would request Jahanvi ji to unmute herself. And we now have about 30 odd people in this thing, and they're still coming, but I think we will start. I would request Jahanvi ji to unmute herself. And now have about 30 odd people in this thing, and they're still coming, but I think we will start. I would request. दो वो आ रहा है, इको आ रहा है। ये बंद करना पड़ेगा, क्या करना पड़ेगा? ये जो इसका साउंड यहाँ पे ऑफ करना पड़ेगा। जान, yeah. So, good morning, everybody. Jahanvi ji, good morning. Welcome to
Dolly. Thank you so much.
The Hack at FashionTech is having its fourth session today, where we will be talking about the FashionTech I will briefly introduce Janvi, invite Janvi ji to introduce herself a little more and give an outline of the session today. We will have the session and then we will have an open discussion on how we could go further, how we are planning to go further, because today is the last date for participation for the hackathon. The registration of individuals to the Fashion Summit would be closing today, and then we will be moving on to the actual registration of the hackathon. Uh, Over to you, Janvi ji. Please briefly introduce yourself and outline how you are planning to take the session so that we can accordingly
Thank you, Ms. Bhasin. First of all, I would like to welcome everyone who's there for the session, for the workshop today. I'm Jahanvi. I'm a professor of the Fashion Design Department at JD Institute of Fashion Technology, and I will be taking you through this workshop today. Before we start with the session, I would like to thank Ms. Dolly Bhasin, the host of the session, for this wonderful opportunity that she's given to us to be a part of this session. So starting with what we will be doing in the workshop today, we will be theoretically talking about how technology has majorly played a role in the fashion industry, how the entire design process was earlier done manually and how it has been now digitalized, how the fashion industry has digitalized itself in a complete manner. So we're going to discuss that in today's session. Dolly ji, are we going to wait for the students or can we like...
I think you can just introduce yourself and we'll still wait because we have a steady stream of people coming in, and I wouldn't like anybody to really miss the session. It's such an important and interesting subject. So if you could introduce yourself and just maybe give an overview of your today's program so that we can have fine tuning in terms of how we intend to really put the. So do you have some slides that you want to share, or you would be speaking?
I do have a few slides that I will be sharing.
Okay, so while we are on the initial conversation mode, I will not be giving you the host permission. Subsequently, we will give you the host permission, and during that period, I would not like anybody else to be joining in between because I cannot admit anybody if I have the host transfer to you. So so if you could just introduce yourself. About 5 people still waiting to get registered. So please engage with the audience right now, just for the brief introduction to the subject.
Yeah, sure.
And yourself.
Yeah. So I had been working as a women's wear apparel designer in the industry before joining as an academician in JD Institute. I was a women's wear apparel designer in Lien Phung, that's a buying house in Gurugram. So after a brief course there, then I started with my profession here at JD Institute. I am a fashion designer. I do a lot of freelancing projects and I also teach graphics to students. I also teach design process, trend forecast understanding via WGSN. Basically how silhouettes need to be developed, how you study your market, how you have to study your client. So that is my basic forte. I am too much intrigued towards graphic designing. So I develop a lot of graphics, a lot of artworks, prints and patterns. The same thing I did when I was in the industry as well. One very important thing that I feel that students nowadays lack in is WGS and forecast understanding, which I feel is something very, very important that every designer should, have it in the system if you're into designing. So yeah, that we will be talking about WGSN very briefly in this workshop as well, in a very generic manner. Um, Today's workshop is basically going to talk about the technological advancements that have happened in the industry. Earlier, when we were in the industry was more towards manual working, where things were not digitalized, stitching and everything had to be done with hand. Nowadays, we even have robotic sewers who are creating garments for consumers. It is also because of the increased demands that we have from the consumers. The population has been increasing. There's a rise in the population, reason that we have to digitalize our processes. There is certain process that you need to follow that is known as the design process. I'm sure the process is taught to students in college, and you need to follow that process. You need to understand the forecasting techniques. You need to understand what trends are going to come in the future, and according to that only you start construction. So that is the reason we have these techniques like 3D printing, and also to make our environment sustainable, since we have human beings have completely exhausted the resources that we have got from nature. So sustainability is something that we need to incorporate in our daily habits, something that we need to incorporate in designing our apparels, our end products as well. So we will be talking about the sustainability essence with the coming of technology within our industry in today's workshop.
So that's great. I think a lot of students are from the fashion background. The technology people prefer to really be on the technology workshops, and we have this complete disconnect, and that's one of the reason why I actually had a common session. But it looks like the choice of the students you can't really change if you are not in an organized environment. So, but we are recording the session, and hopefully we will be able to really kind of share this information with the other students who have not joined in. We already have quite a number of students now, quite a number of participants. Some of the participants are not students, they are actually entrepreneurs, or they are startups who are wanting to engage in the hackathon and develop new products. There is a entrepreneur from Mumbai. She's been working on the fashion side and has a patented product in the fashion area. So I've been encouraging sustainable fashion, and especially fashion that has a very high degree of usability. Unlike most of the so-called fashion shows, only display products which are high-end, which actually doesn't reach masses. So it really the amount of wastage, the amount of unsold inventory is very high. Whereas if you develop sustainability right into the process of making the product more usable, that is what we have been trying to promote. And technology offers you the luxury of printing one piece at a time and not really looking at mass production, which is normally done. Also, 3D printing, as you rightfully said, that gives you a huge amount of opportunity to uh, produce products, showcase them, and when you actually produce in mass, when you have sufficient amount of orders or you have the necessary interest. We had a very interesting session in the first the second session that we had, which was AI in fashion. And we received a tremendous amount of response by having almost about 600 people watching the program on Facebook and on this thing. So in fact, it became such unmanageable situation. We didn't really plan to really have that, but somehow we could get through it. and it's still being seen almost every day. We are having 300 to 400 views, which is what that shows that artificial intelligence is something that fashion desperately needs for its value add that you can provide. So let me, I think we have about 40 odd people who have already joined in. So if you would like to start your session, and give me a cue when you are wanting to have your slides, or if you could just ask somebody to mail me this slide, I will just run it through for
I
you.
think, Ms. Bhasin, I would like to share the presentation here itself, if that wouldn't be.
Okay, that would be okay. That would be okay. That's not a problem. Just give me a cue when you want to start the slide session. I will give you the host permission.
Right. So, I mean, I'm ready. Should we start with the session, because I'm going to directly with my
Yes.
thing?
Yes.
Yeah. So you can just let me share my screen now.
Okay. I will just take this screen off and give you the
Sure.
permission. Because we still have some people joining in. That was the reason why I said that if I then those messages will start coming to you.
Then let's wait. Let's wait for
Okay.
5 minutes, Ms. Bhasin.
Yeah.
5
So
minutes.
you can continue with a little more deliberation
Yeah.
before we really kind of take on the call, because people are still coming in, and it will interrupt your hosting.
Yeah. So as you were talking about artificial intelligence, I think that is something that has paved a major way in the fashion industry. We have seen applications like Siri. I'm sure a lot of people are using Apple phones and Apple watches, and you have Siri, you have Alexa chatbots that you call, and these are readily available. You can just use them. It's something that works like a human mind. So you sit, you can talk to them, you ask them, they're going to answer you. You have questions, they're going to have answers to those questions. So I think that is something really interesting that has been coming up in our industry. I mean, you're just a button away. Then applications like Instagram, Facebook, I mean, technology has developed so much in our industry. I think that is something that you cannot ignore. In fact, retailers have started to engage themselves into this, because again, if as a retailer you are not getting you're not being a part of this, then again it's going to be something problematic. Because when the situation of the pandemic, let's just talk about the current situation of the pandemic, when we had the lockdown and everyone was at home, I mean, I'm sure that roughly around, as per the survey that was conducted recently, around 80 to 82% of the consumers preferred sitting at home and ordering things at their doorstep. So, they were preferring that things, whatever they're ordering, are delivered at their doorstep. The reason delivery started happening in between the lockdown. So I think this is all technology. It is all, the inventories and everything have been, the data analytics, everything has been, the stocks, all of that has been calculated through these applications, through artificial intelligence. So I think technology has had a very, a major and a very beneficial impact on our industry, for that matter. Rest, I think we have a long session which has a lot of information talking about the biotechnological fabrics, and then a lot of 3D printing and tech garments that we will be talking about.
So great. I think that's the way to really go. And what is your opinion in terms of the fashion scenario in India versus the world market? Where do we stand? Do we really have some position to really boast for, or are we still in the very initial stages in
I would, if I would talk about the Indian market, I think one thing that just lacks in the Indian market is
technology adoption? What is
yeah.
that?
Okay. I think Ms. Bhasin, you just your voice just broke in the middle. I couldn't get you.
My apologies, but I think we'll start the session. We have 40 odd members who are already
Okay.
Yes, you can. I've given you the host permission. Now you can actually use the.
Yes, Ms. Rosina, I've got it. Thank you so much. All right, everyone, let's start with the workshop now. As I told you, we would be starting with how technology has actually paved its way into fashion. Technology has changed our fashion industry in a number of ways. We had been through a wave of technology in this era, which is also termed as the digital era. Now, this digital era, as the name suggests, is something where technology had been introduced in the fashion industry. Technology is not just in terms of the social media applications that we have been using, but it also came through things like the supply chain management that exists in the industry. Also through sales, a lot of retail brands took up to technology and they started to plan their production. They started to plan their sales, their designs as well in terms of technology. So the impact of technology in the industry was undeniable. Also, we see that a lot of technological devices had been launched and they had actually opened doors for the consumers to get in. So earlier when technology was not so much prevalent in our fashion industry, we saw that consumers would just, just like it was normal, like you would go to a mall, you would see things, whatever you would like, you would shop and you would do the payment and just come back home. But when we see the technology, with the coming of technology, what we see is that consumers have started to engage themselves within the brands. So the meaning of this would be that customers have actually started to have one-on-one interaction with the brands, where they have actually pointed out that what they would prefer to wear, what silhouettes they would prefer to wear as per their color choices, as per the trends that have been existing or the trends that would be coming in. So keeping all these things in mind, the brands have started the production accordingly. Now, this one-on-one interaction with the customers or the customer engagement with the brand is something that has been possible only through technology. So we see that a lot of manual processes that existed in the industry have now been sidelined, and customer engagement has come into being. Also, one very important thing that we see is that the transformation has been happening in terms of the supply chain management. Now, the supply chain management will be the production, and the production of your end product, and when you do the supply of that production. That is what the supply chain management is. It involves a lot of things in the industry, a lot of processes that you have to go through. So we see that technology majorly has become predominant in the fashion industry. Before moving forward, I would like to put a very basic question for you all. I'm sure you would have some answer to it. So why do you think that technology actually started in fashion? What was the reason of getting technology into fashion? Ms. Bhasin, is it possible if we could unmute anyone who wants to answer to this question? Ms. Bhasin, can you hear me? Okay, guys, I think you can drop in your answers in the chat box. I will be very much available there. So I've got an answer from Muskan Jain, which says that because of fast fashion demands. Okay, anything else that you want to point out? Okay. Shubhangi says because the fashion industry is one of the major pollution creating industries. Okay, I'll just repeat my question one again. I'm asking, why do you think technology actually started in fashion? Okay, fast fashion demands can be one thing because the populations have been increasing rapidly in countries, specifically developing countries. Other than that, okay, we also see the coming in of a lot of pollution. The fashion industry is considered to be one of the major the second largest industry, which creates a lot of pollution in the world. So yes, that can be another. Anything else that you want to talk about here? Okay, Nabin says it's time efficient. That is the reason we have technology, because it helps us to save time. Anything else you guys want to point out? Cost efficient, marketing and fast production to keep up pace with demand and supply. Increasing demand is already done. Okay, guys. Great. I think I've received some really good answers from you all. Okay, I've got two more answers, which says that technology has helped in bringing fast fashion, then to make everything available at our doorstep. People choose to stay back and shop. Okay. Perfect. Now, moving forward and answering to the question that I had put forward for you all. The reason technology majorly started in fashion is because of, again, the rising demand that I have already received an answer for that. The demand has increased a lot. And whenever you're working in the industry, I'm sure when you guys enter the industry, you will notice this. There is a certain process that you need to follow. You cannot just start with, okay, I need to create 10 garments today, and let me just start creating those 10 garments. That is not the case in the fashion industry. Whenever you start with the production, you always need to follow a design process. We will be briefly discussing about the design process in a very generic manner in the upcoming slides now. What happens is when a brand or a buyer comes into your company or to your brand, they want you to create a certain collection of ensembles. Now this is not just going to happen randomly. You need to complete your design process. You need to have your inspirations in mind. You need to have your trends in mind. You need to understand the forecasting. You need to have your colors in mind. So there are a lot of things that have to be kept in mind when you start creating your garments. How do you think that you can study trends? Is it easy to study trends? Because trends are not something that I just go out and I see someone wearing something and it looks nice and that becomes a trend. No, trends are going to be given to you only on WGSN. What is WGSN? WGSN is a trend forecasting site. Again, technology. Because of technology, we have the coming in of various forecasting sites like WGSN and StyleSite, where you can actually log in and you can look for the upcoming trends that are going to be there in the future. And because of the rising demands, we as designers always work ahead of time. Okay, so you never like start, okay, so this brand wants a spring summer collection for 2021. So let me just start in, let's say, March. No, that is not going to be the case, because when you do production is not going to be of, let's say, 2, 3, 5 samples. It's going to be a lot of samples in thousands, and sometimes even the production happens in lakhs. So again, you are on a time constraint. So technology is something that actually helped us to move away from this, this stress that used to be there on the designers in the industry. One very important thing that I would like to share with you all here is that technology has helped a lot of designers create masterpieces. Earlier, things were done completely by hand. Let's say if you wanted to create a garment, like a 3D garment or something, you were doing draping, be it the fabric was light or it was heavy, draping was done by hand. But nowadays you have 3D printing. Techniques like 3D printing has actually helped you in creating different kinds of shapes and creating 3D structures through that. Draping is not that mandatory, and even if you're draping something, it is now not required to be done manually completely by hand, because you're already going to get that fabric from the 3D printing machine done. So you just have to place it and stitch it and your garment is ready, right? Technology has also proved to be very, very beneficial for sustainability. Now, when we talk about sustainability, that is something that has to be kept in mind now and for the future as well, because we have exhausted our resources at such a great level that, we doubt that if you just go through a few theories online, you will see that scientists usually doubt that we might not be able to leave anything for our future generations. So that is the reason sustainability has become one very, very important point in the fashion industry. Also, since the fashion industry has been considered to be one of the most polluting industries in the world, a lot of water wastage happens when you create garments, and a lot of pollution happens when you do production. So that is the reason the fashion industry, a lot of fashion brands are now introducing sustainability as an element in the apparels that they create. We also, through technology, we also have the emergence of a lot of new fabrics. Now, earlier when leather was being used, we used to see that a lot of animals were killed to create the fabric, right? To create leather. And then there was a ban where brands like Prada, Louis Vuitton, when they were creating their handbags, they had to give up on leather because that the fabric had been banned. So now with the coming of technology, we see that vegan and synthetic leather has also been produced. Now, all of this is happening because of technology. So yes, in a major way, we can say that technology has actually proved to be beneficial for sustainability within the fashion industry. A lot of new fabrics have also been launched, have also been manufactured, created, that have some added functionalities which we actually could not even think if they existed. We have fabrics that are created out of living microorganisms as well. So we will be discussing about that also in the upcoming slides. One very important terminology that exists in the fashion industry in these recent years is wearable technology. Now, what do you mean by wearable technology? Wearable technology is something that an apparel that you wear, which consists of technology in some form. So, an example can be, let's say that you are wearing, let's say that I love doing yoga in the morning, and I wear a set of trousers, I wear a set of pants, and that helps me in understanding what kind of exercises can I do. So it sorts of has some sort of, sensors around the body, around those pants, which help me in understanding which portion of the body should I move and in what way. So we have garments like this also developed. Then you have fabrics that actually can control temperature of the body, right? So all of these things have been introduced. Levi's recently had introduced a trucker jacket, which actually has certain sensors woven within the fabric. So they are very, very tiny, and they are woven within the fabric. And you can actually just operate, you can operate it using the cuff of your sleeve. So technology has been doing wonders in the fashion industry. One more very important thing that I would like to point out here is that the wearable technology that we are talking about is not just restrictive of any product category. What I mean by this statement will be that it is not that whenever I'm creating a garment which has some sort of technological advancement happening within it, it has to be an avant-garde garment, or it has to be probably a couture garment. No, it can easily be a ready-to-wear garment also. Now, like I gave you the example of the trucker jacket manufactured by Levi's, that is a basic jacket. That is the reason the term wearable technology has come into being within the fashion industry, because it's going to be like any other garment. It's going to be like a basic top which I'm wearing, and this top can have a lot of technological things happening inside it. I can just download the app and I can connect it with my, let's say something is happening on my sleeve, and probably I can see messages over my sleeve, or I can do tweets from my cuff. So all these things are now possible in the industry. To make this more clear, I'll just share one very good example with you all, which you might be able to relate with. So I've created this fictional character by the name of Sarah. The picture that you see on my screen, you can just go through that picture once, and it's going to help you understand and relate how technology is actually evolving in the fashion industry. Now, Sarah is a girl who works and she's really busy. She doesn't have time, and she has to attend a party. She has to go out, and she doesn't have time to buy probably some dress for herself. So let's see how technology is going to help her in understanding and creating a garment, a perfect garment for herself. Now, you'll see that what happens is she downloads an application that is the AR fitting room application. AR will be augmented reality fitting room application. Now here what happens is that through that application, she puts through her preferences in the terms of silhouettes that she would prefer to wear. So that means whether she would prefer wearing a top and a skirt, whether she would prefer wearing a full length dress, whether she would prefer wearing a tunic. So just depending on her silhouette selection, she's going to select that. After that, she's going to pick up a few colors that she would prefer wearing. Let's say she want to go with a red color, which is on our screen. So she selects that color and she puts forward that color on her dress. After that, once she's done with her preferences, the AR fitting room app is going to virtually, that means it's going to digitally help her in selecting that perfect dress for her occasion, right? Now, what is an AR fitting room application? It is a digital room, like you have trial rooms in stores. The same way you have, let's say we'll have a digital trial room where you actually do not physically have to visit the room and do the changes of the garments. you can just simply do that on the application, right? So you can pick up the dress, you can change the silhouette, you can change the colors, you can change the, let's say the belt, you want a different kind of sleeve. All those changes can be done. And this process is only successful through artificial intelligence that is available in our industry. This helps in synthesizing her preferences, and whatever trending styles are existing in the industry, it is going to help her understand those trends and she can pick up the perfect style. Now, let's relate it to ourselves. Like, let's say that I'm going shopping to a mall and I want to buy a dress from Zara. I'm sure all of you are aware of this brand. So I go to Zara and I pick up a dress. Now, when you go, you do not just randomly pick up all of the garments that are available for you, right? What do? You go there, you check out a few styles, you say, okay, this looks really old fashioned. I don't want to go with this one. Okay, everyone has bought this. I don't want to go with this one. So you're going to look for something that is perfect for you, right? Now, instead of going and visiting the store, imagine that you are sitting at home and you can just do that with your phone or with your laptop. So that is what technology has done to the fashion industry. The 3D softwares that are available to us, they help in rendering of the dress. Now, rendering of the dress means what colors she wants on the dress, what kind of texture would she prefer on the dress. And then all of this helps in understanding. She can put through her measurements in the application. When you have the measurements, you know how the dress has to be constructed. As I was talking about the robotic sewers and the cutters that help in assembling the dress, the same thing happens here in this AR fitting room app as well, where robotic sewers and cutters are going to assemble the dress, they're going to create the dress, and then finally this dress is going to be ready. So you see that technology is actually completely transforming the world, for that matter. If we see, you do not have to get yourselves engaged in, you do not have to worry that probably I'm rushing from office, I have so much work to do and I have to go out and I need to buy a dress for myself. All of that is not needed because you have technology. So the only thing that you need to do is you just need to download an application which is going to help you in selecting the dress. A very good example of this application is the Dressing Room app. I'm not sure if you all are familiar with this application, but do check it out. It was launched by Gap, that is the US retailer Gap Inc. And they had launched this app a few years back. What they do in this application is they have actually created a fitting room, sort of like I said, an AR fitting room. They have created that in their application. You just have to download the application. You need to set in your preferences, as in what kind of silhouettes do you prefer. Let's say that I go to office and since I'm working Monday to Friday, so I would prefer something more formal as my attire whenever I'm going to office. So a pair of trousers and a shirt, let's say. So you put in your preferences of a shirt and a trousers, and whatever the brand has in terms of those shirts and trousers are going to be displayed to you. Now you can pick up your colors, you can pick up your textures, you can set that up, and accordingly you can book the garment that you want. And once it's done, you can just basically you can create an entire ensemble through an application and you can get it delivered at your doorstep without any hassle, right? So this is something that we see has been happening in this industry since a few recent years. So these technological advancements are actually happening the industry grow. Majorly, they are majorly helping the consumers and the brands to interact with each other one-on-one. So that is something that is really, really beneficial for the consumer, because see, a lot of times we just go to the brand and we just say, kya banaya yaar inhone, what is this? I don't like this collection. I mean, what is all this, right? But you might go and imagine that you're just sitting at home and you do not have to worry. And if you don't like something, you can just get the fabric changed, you can get the colors changed. In fact, we even have a lot of brands who have developed technology in such a manner in their end products that you can have a product being carried by you, and on the spot using the application, you can get its colors and textures changed. So technology has reached to that level in the industry. Before moving forward, I'll just give you all 2-3 minutes. And I think I've received a few questions in the chat box. I'll just go through that. And if you have any queries or you want to discuss anything, please put your queries in the chat box so that we can discuss them. Okay, guys, if you have any queries, we can get you unmuted as well. You can just raise your hand. I'll check it, and Ms. Bhasin can unmute you and you can ask your questions directly as well.
So there are two questions. Would you like to take them online?
Yes.
Would you like to respond to them?
Yeah, Ms. Bhasin, can you unmute Manya Sharma? I've received a question from her which says, what's the role of a designer thinking creatively but possess the skills of AI and AR? Could you unmute Manya Sharma?
Right. One.
Thank you.
Manya, you can unmute yourself.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Yeah.
Hi, Manya. Good afternoon.
How are you? Good afternoon.
I'm good, ma'am. How are you?
I'm good, Manya. What is your question?
Ma'am, my question is that like we designers can think creatively and we can create a lot of ideas, but when it comes to possessing the skills and actually working on AI or AR, our ideas might not match to the working of it.
Yeah.
And for example, I have tried creating more ideas regarding AI, and the main issue I was getting was ki I don't know if it will work or not,
Okay.
or if it's possible to actually create it or not, because I don't possess that skill and I don't know if that can be made.
Okay. Manya, can I ask you, what are you pursuing right now?
Ma'am, I'm doing fashion designing from JD Institute.
Okay, so you are a fashion design student. Anya, just answering to this question, what happens is whenever, first of all, as a designer, your task is not going to be to design an artificial intelligence application. Your task is going to be to make your design process creative so that you can come up with more creative garments. I hope you're trying to understand what I'm saying here, right?
Yeah.
So with the technological advancements that already have been happened in the industry, your basic motive should be, because when you become a designer, a brand is going to come to you to ask you to create the perfect collection for them, and not to and they are not going to come and ask you to create or develop an application. So what you need to do here is that you will have to go through and study what technological advancements have actually happened in the industry, what and how many and which advancements you actually take and look forward to cater to that particular brand. Did you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So the major idea for you will be to enhance your creative design skills. That will be able to help you in picking up your, the best apparels that you can create for them, and that is how you will be able to cater to them. So let's say we were talking about 3D printing, because that is so much prevalent. when we did not have 3D printing, the major issue that was being faced by designers was that there was a lot of wastage. As I told you, there was a lot of wastage of fabric, and that fabric was just considered katran because you were not able to use it again. So it was all a waste. I'm just sharing an example with you here. And also, since the coming of 3D printing, we see that keeping sustainability in mind, there is zero wastage through 3D printing. So let's say that a brand is coming in and they want you to keep the sustainable element in mind. You can probably come up with a solution where you can give an option that we can work with 3D printing in all the garments. We can introduce this technological advancement in our collection, and we can come up with something like this, which requires zero wastage of fabric, right? So you will have to work out, you will have to do your research in that scenario. And on the basis of that, you will have to start working in a more creative manner. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Any other question, Manya?
Actually, I was like, अभी आपने जो example दिया था मैम,
Hmm.
in that case study,
Yeah.
इसमें मैम just that similar way से अगर हम किसी garment को देखें that we are expected to develop, तो उसके अंदर टेक्नोलॉजी गारमेंट के अंदर ही डली हुई है.
Okay.
And my
Manya,
doubt was,
I'll interrupt you here. Manya, I'll interrupt you here. See, what happens is when applications like these are designed, the person is not going to be designing. See, let's say that I am not a designer. Okay, you are a designer and I am a layman, right? So I have downloaded this application that you have offered me. The idea is not for the consumer to create the garment. You are going to already give options to them. Out of those options, they are going to pick up. You're understanding? That designing part has to be done by you, right? When the designs are ready, only then you will be able to cater to the consumer. And only then you will be able to put up those designs on the application. Till the time you do not have designs, you cannot expect the consumer to work with it, right?
okay, ma'am.
Yeah. Am I able to answer you now, or do you want me to simplify it more for you?
Yes, ma'am, I got it.
You got it, right? Okay. Perfect. Let's move forward with the next question. I think I have one.
There is another question from Naidu.
Yeah.
Would you like to take it online? I can unmute him.
Yeah, please do that.
Okay. So you can read the question in the meantime. I mean, I'm just unmuting, asking him to unmute.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah. Mr. Naidu, you can take the question online.
Yeah, ma'am.
Yeah.
Hi, Naidu.
Thank you for conducting this Zoom meeting. Hello, ma'am. I would like to ask, are there any technologies where we can use the nano prints on the design? Are there any things? Because now we have to directly depend on this sheet which we do for the blueprints and all this. So, are there any inbuilt technology which you say?
Naidu, I wouldn't say here that I have a lot of knowledge about this nanotechnology thing, but yes, as per my research and as per my understanding, the research work that I have done, there are technologies in the industry related to that. So you can probably get in touch with me. I can do my research on this, and we can probably discuss this later after the session if you want. So, but I would require my research. But yes, there are a lot of nanotechnologies that are existing in the industry now.
And one more thing, ma'am, we are a farmer producer company who are working in the tribal belt. We'll be working, we are based in Srikakulam district of Andhra Pradesh, where we have many tribal built own designs, which are very ethnic. So if we want to promote them, we are a non-governmental organization and we are promoting them. So if we want to make the marketing sustainable, and if we want to make the prices feasible, are there any departments, or are there any e-commerce websites where our production costs or the marketing costs will be reduced? Are there any partners like that in your team?
Are you doing the production yourself, Naidu, of these garments?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, yes. We are doing. We have a production unit at our own place. Like we
Okay.
are formed together as a weavers group. So
Okay.
we are into the production line.
Okay.
Right now we are not into the garment stage, but we are in the designing of saris. We are designing kurtas and all these. So we
Okay.
basically hired a designer from Vizag, which is very near to us.
Okay.
She did her fashion designing from the NIFT. So we
Okay.
are taking support from her. But we would like to, because as our location is remote, the transportation costs or the cost which is involved in the marketing or
Mhm.
getting more and more. So we want to have some
Yeah.
sort of partners where we can reduce those costs.
Uh,
Uh,
why don't you, Naidu, I would suggest, why don't you, are you there on Instagram? Are you there on any social media handle?
Yes, yes, we have recently started our Facebook group too.
Okay.
Like because of this lockdown and this situation, we were unable to send those transport or the items in the right time. So we are
Mm-hmm.
facing a trouble to manage those related items. So if you have
Right.
any suggestions or
Contacts.
the
Yes.
yeah contacts so that we can.
Yeah. So for the contacts, please get in touch with Ms. Bhavna. She will make you get in touch with me. All right. So I think she will share her contact with you. I will also let her know that. Naidu, are you able to hear me? I think his video got stuck.
So, so we have another question from Swati. I'm just, if you'd like to take that up, I'll ask her to unmute herself.
Okay,
Swati.
Miss Bhasin, I think Naidu is back online. Can we just complete him?
Right.
We can.
Okay, okay,
Yes.
fine.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Naidu. So I was saying, according to me, my suggestion would be that you create your business account on Instagram. That is going to help you a lot.
Okay.
Try to,
Okay.
because once you have your account on Instagram, there are going to be a lot of people who will be able to approach and see you, right? So again, the consumer can directly get in touch. You do not need mediators for that. Yeah, so you can save
Okay.
your costs there. Number one, you do not need mediators to handle, because when you have mediators, you will have to pay something to those mediators
Yes,
as well,
yes, yes. True,
right?
true.
So
Yes.
you create your Instagram, create a business account, try to get in
Yes.
touch with as many consumers as you can, because try to promote your page, make sure that you are very active there. Because
Yes.
as you keep promoting, you will see that a lot of people are following your page, specifically people who are too much into the kind of production that you are doing, right? So the major thing will be that they will be able to get in touch with you directly. So that one-on-one conversation is going to help you a lot. You will understand
Yes,
what
yes,
the
yes.
consumer is wanting, what are the demands of the consumer, and your production can actually happen only in that sector, right? So it's very important to
Okay.
understand your market as well. So you can save your costs there. That is number one. Number two, there are a lot of Indian brands who are actually ready to promote your work. Like, as in, let's say Amazon. Amazon has actually started
Yes.
Amazon is a US brand, but you know, Amazon has a
Yes.
sector in India as well, right? And it's a major, major sector.
Yes.
So Amazon has actually
Yes.
started recently. They have started their segment by the name of Amazon Karigar, right, where you have all of these
Yes. Yes.
handicraft things and stuff like that happening.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
you have a lot of
Yes.
these brands that actually are taking small brands and someone who has a startup or someone who's placed in a very remote area. So why
Yes.
don't you but this is going to happen once you start making yourself visible to everyone. So make
Sure.
sure that you make your business accounts, make sure that you have your accounts on social media. I think that is going to be the best possible way, which is going to help you in cutting some cost there. And maybe when you get in touch with these big brands like Amazon and all, they actually share some cost of the
Yes.
transportation
Yes. Yes. True. True.
deliveries with
True.
you, right? So once you get in touch with them, you can probably talk about what percentage they are ready to give up. So
Yes.
you can do that. And rest,
Yes.
if you want me to look for some brands, I'll do that. You can get in touch with Miss Bhavna and we can I'll do my research and I'll let you know.
Surely, ma'am. Thank
So
you so
I'll,
much, ma'am. Thanks for your time.
Okay,
I'd like to add in a little. Parallel to this program, we are also co-organizer. I'm Khadi is a co-organizer for the World Trade Expo, which is an online expo, which is happening on worldtradeexpo.org. And you can contact
Yeah, ma'am. You have.
contact World Trade Expo, and Yash Arya is there on this thing. Maybe towards the end, I will ask Yash to really give a overview to everybody on that, which includes the questions that you have asked. There is a lot of promotion that we are doing during this presentation, and today in the afternoon there is a session, especially a B2B session, interacting with the a lot of buyers from overseas. Almost about 60 countries are participating, and you will be able to really kind of get access to them.
Surely, ma'am. Surely, ma'am. I'll be in touch.
Right.
Okay. Thank you so much.
So Swati, can you take the next question? Janviji, would you like to take this question?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely, Ms. Basin. I think you can unmute Swati.
Yeah, I have unmuted her.
Okay.
Swati, go ahead, please. Swati? So 1 minute, I had unmuted you. You probably have not. Yeah.
Hello.
Swati?
Can
Yeah,
you hear
can you?
me? Hello. Am I audible?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right.
Yes,
Thank
yes,
you so
yes.
much. So I wanted to ask that I have been looking for people who can do 3D printing, but what I'm finding is people who can do 3D printing on the t-shirts, but not create a garment out of 3D printing. So I just wanted to know if it is available in India, especially in Mumbai, and there are any companies who are doing it.
Yes, Swati, see, you will have to do your research work for that, look for 3D printers, but you have a lot of 3D printers available in Delhi, and I am based in Delhi. I'm sure they are available in Mumbai as well, but you have to look for them. And what, as in, you said that you want 3D printing on t-shirts. So can you just explain a little bit, like what are you looking for?
No, that's what I'm finding is people who can do 3D printing on a garment.
Yeah.
But not I can't find anybody who can create a garment out of 3D printing.
Okay, so why don't you, I am not sure, are you a designer, Swati?
I'm not a designer myself, but I have a brand here.
Okay, you have a brand. So you have designers under you who work?
Yeah.
Okay, so Swati, why don't you get your samples ready through 3D printing, and why don't you ask your designers to drape something like a t-shirt and then stitch them through and create a garment like that? I mean, it's just a suggestion. I'm not sure what collection you are working on and how you are planning to do it, but it is just a suggestion from my end. So you can work on something like that if you want.
Okay. I'll speak to them.
Yeah, so if you are not, I mean, if they are doing it on the garment and the way you're wanting it, why don't you just ask them to get the pieces done, and the assembling and the compiling part can be done by your designers?
All right, I'll try this and update. Thank you.
Okay, Swati.
So I don't think we have any more questions. If anybody else has a question, they can type in the chat box. Otherwise, we'll continue with the session.
Okay. All right, guys. So let's move forward with, I think, yeah. Okay. So let's move forward with how social media has changed the world. Before we start again, I would want to raise a very basic question here. Could anyone give me a few relevant examples of how and what these social media handles are and how they have changed the world? Anyone can give me any relevant examples that you feel. So any relevant example of social media handles that have, you feel that have helped to transform the fashion industry? Again, you can drop in your answers in the chat box. Come on, guys, let's make it interactive. Okay, Shubhangi has said direct shopping through Instagram. Very good, Shubhangi. That's a very good example. Anyone else? Okay, Manya has said lens cart. Okay. Okay, Manya, lens cart is not going to be, I wouldn't say that it is a social media handle. It is an online website from where you can do your shopping, right? But my question is that how do you think social media, ignoring the brand websites, has changed the fashion world? So that is my question. Okay, Facebook ads, Instagram ads, YouTube ads, brilliant. Handles of all influencers. That is a very good example, Swati. Anyone else? Okay, I think I've got some really brilliant answers for this question. Okay, so let's start with the question again. Now, as I told you that social media has changed the fashion world drastically. Now, why and how? So why we discussed, right? Because of time constraints and related things that we discussed in the session. And now how social media has actually changed it. The major social media handles that have actually helped in transforming the fashion industry is definitely Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat, right? Now, it is so, what I would say that there's an enormous power in these social media handles that, it is majorly influencing consumer behavior. So what consumers are now doing is, instead of going out and probably taking out time and visiting stores, they are preferring to sit at homes, and they are preferring to look for things online and order them to get them delivered at their doorstep. So this has actually become like, just like you have social norms as existing in the society, like this online shopping has actually become a norm in our industry, in our society. And it's not just in terms of fashion. I would say it is happening in all the sectors. Let's talk about Myntra, let's talk about Flipkart, Amazon for that matter. All these websites are catering majorly to consumers. And it is not just in terms of, it's not just in terms of apparels or accessories or handbags. It is also in terms of food items. It's related to whatever, as in whatever you want. Recently, Amazon started their pantry section, where specifically for the lockdown, where you could just sit at home and you could order grocery items as well. So it is so easy to connect like that, right? Also, one very important thing that we see here is that social media has brought connectedness, innovation, and diversity to the industry. So this is a very, very important statement in the way that connectedness will be that the brand and the consumers are able to connect with each other in a better manner. Why? Because it is a one-on-one conversation that is happening. Mediators are not being involved. So it becomes more easy for you to directly discuss, directly put forward your questions and your queries, right? One very good example that I would like to share with you all will be of Instagram. I'm sure you all have been using Snapchat and Instagram. Now, Snapchat has been acting like a live magazine for people. Now, when I say a live magazine, it means that let's say that, let's take an example of a basic magazine that you have at home, right? So what do? You open the magazine, let's say it's a Vogue or a Femina. I open my magazine, I go through the trends, I go through the catwalk shows, catwalk pictures. I go through what trends have been happening, what is the upcoming trend, whether I should wear this, what colors should I prefer, whether the silhouette is looking nice or not, what kind of makeup is going to exist, what kind of hairstyle is going to come into the upcoming season. So all these things were available to us on magazines, right? And these magazines have now invested in social media as well. So they have started to get their own application. So you can just download the application and you can log in and you can start seeing that. Instagram is one major handle that is being used excessively by consumers. And I'm sure everyone uses Instagram here. And the reason it functions like a live magazine is that it keeps updating itself, right? Every time you log into Instagram, if there's any current trend, you can always go through the trend. You have business accounts of brands like WGSN, where you can just go through. If you feel that you want to look up to to some particular trend, you can just go through the trend. A lot of a lot of these fashion shows had been happening, and all of them were online. And you have this IGTV, that is Instagram TV, that is available to you on Instagram, where you can sit and you can watch shows. You can even watch live shows on Instagram, understand what trends are going to be put forward in the upcoming seasons, right? So it has become so easy for consumers to understand. It has become so feasible for all of us to understand how and what we want to wear and buy, right? Also, with the coming of these new digital tools, we see that brands have got their own fans and followers. So when you see Instagram, I'm sure you would be familiar with these these followers that you get. You have your following section and you have your followers. So imagine brands like Michael Kors and brands like Prada having millions of followers. So what happens? These brands actually launch their end products. They launch their products. They set up dates for launching. Brands like Burberry, they have a date on which they're going to launch some product, right? And they're going to publish it all over Instagram. So when you go there, you actually know, okay, tomorrow this bag from Burberry is going to be launched. So imagine even a normal person who probably would not belong to the design background is going to have information related to that. So that is how social media has actually changed the fashion industry. In fact, as per a recent survey, 90% of the shoppers have started to interact with brands on social media. They have directly gone through the direct message section on Instagram, or if the brands have put up their stories, they are messaging through those stories if they want to ask anything. And the brands very well are actually answering to that. So it has become a very, interactive and a one-on-one conversation that happens between the brands and the designers. Also, one very important thing that Instagram has offered to its people is exposure to opportunities. Now, you have sites like LinkedIn, which is a very professional site. People belonging to all professions usually have an account there. And you actually look for internships and you look for jobs there. And you usually get them as well, because people post a lot of internships and jobs over there. Now, you will be surprised to know that even Instagram offers that. Now, if you have your profile open and if you have a business account, you can actually receive jobs from your account. So that is, brands have actually started to approach designers on Instagram if they are looking for any particular designer or any person to work in their company. So it's become a very feasible platform where everyone can have one-on-one interactions, and you do not require mediators who would actually do the conversation for you, which definitely makes the task a little more difficult, right? So one very important thing that I would like to point out here also is of Snapchat. Snapchat has also proved to be a very important social media handle. The reason is that if you swipe up from your stories to Snapchat, you will see the right side offers you an area where you can actually just sit and watch live shows. Right, you can even watch recorded shows and major events happening like the Met Gala event and various red carpet shows that keep happening. So all of those shows can be watched online, right? So this is how social media has actually started to change the fashion world in a drastic manner. Any questions here, guys? Anything that you want to discuss with me? Okay, guys, if you have any questions, you can drop in your questions in the chat box and we will go through them. We will start with the next important slide. This is going to be a brief discussion about the design process that exists in the fashion industry. The design process is something that you need to be very, I would say that it is something that you should know, and it should run in your nerves. It is something that you cannot forget. Okay, so I'll briefly explain what design process is and how it works in the industry. You start with an inspiration part. You start with the inspiration part. Your inspiration is either going to be given by the brand that wants you to work on their collection, or the inspiration is going to be coming from your end. Your inspirations come from WGSN. So yes, a major research work can be carried on through WGSN, via which you can pick up your inspirations and you can do your inspiration research. Once this part is over, then you can start with your concept development, and you can understand and create your aims and objectives of the collection that you are creating. After this, you will start with your client research. This is one of the most important mediums that you have to keep in mind. Client research is something that cannot be missed out in your design process. It is very important to understand the client. The client will be for whom you are creating your collection, right? Be it the collection that you are directly catering to a client, or be it the collection that you are catering via a brand or a buyer, but the collection has to be referred to only through the client research. Whatever your client prefers, you need to put that in your collection. Let's say, for example, my client prefers to wear very basic silhouettes. My client prefers to wear subtle colors, would prefer new innovations, but in a very, like a very small and a very minimal segment. So they would not prefer a lot of innovation and areas that are being explored. So that part they want to ignore. So you need to keep all these things in mind, and only on the basis of this will you start designing your collection. Imagine, just think that my consumer wants nudes and I'm working with bright colors. Do you think your collection is going to be moved forward? No, it will not, because that is something that my client does not prefer. So whenever you're working for a client, you need to keep in mind the choices that the client would prefer, something that the client would want to wear. And if I'm not able to cater to my client in the correct manner, then there's no use of creating the garment, because again, I'm going to go in loss. So again, whenever you're working in the industry, you always have to keep in mind the cost effectiveness, the profit and loss situation. That should always be at the back of your head whenever you're creating your collection. That is number one. After your client research, the second thing that comes up is going to be your market research. Your market research is going to be on the basis of the trend study that happens on WGSN, right? So WGSN is going to help you in, WGSN is World Global Style Network, where you get your trends. So you can understand what trends are going to come in the future. You need to study those trends. You need to understand the market you are catering to. So let's say, for example, I am catering to the Indian market in contrast to the US market, okay, or the European market. Now, when we talk about markets like the US or the European markets, these markets are extremely explorative, meaning that they follow the trends thoroughly. So let's say, for example, if ruffles are going to come in 2021 summers, so they will incorporate ruffles in their garments. Whatever be the case, that is going to be incorporated in their garments. So they follow trends very thoroughly. In contrast to the Indian market, where we do follow trends, but we prefer to wear what we see the other person wearing. So we think that that is a trend, right? So we are not so much well versed with trends. We usually prefer what we see. Let's say we see a celebrity, or we see a fashion influencer, or we see a fashion blogger, and we understand trends in that manner, right? So there is a difference in markets on the basis of that. So again, if I'm catering to the US or a European market, I would have to keep in mind that my trends have to be very, very thorough. My forecast study and research has to be very, very thorough. On the basis of that only, I'm going to create my garments. But in contrast to the Indian market, if I'm working on the Indian market, I can, other than the trends that are available to me on WGSN, I can actually just log into Instagram or pick up any social, influencer. Let's say a lot of fashion bloggers like Komal Pandey, and I'm not sure if you guys are aware of these names, but they are very common on Instagram now. Then you have, okay, I'm also remembering the names. Then you have Chiara Ferragni. Then you have, all of these are fashion bloggers. Then you have the Cheek Factor. So a lot of these, fashion influencers are actually starting to target consumers. So people have started to follow their pages. They are trying to learn the styling techniques. So, instead of wasting, again, when we talk about sustainability, instead of wasting the garment, they actually have put forward so many videos and so many reels where you can understand how you can create, and you can create a new version of that garment through some innovation, and you can make use of that garment instead of just wasting it. So that is something which is very, very important. In fact, brands like H&M and Zara have actually promoted this idea, and they have asked people to send in the garments that they feel are a waste and they won't buy it, and they have started to recycle them and create garments out of that. In fact, if you look up to the recent survey that happened with H&M, H&M has actually stated that 57% of the apparels that they have on display in their stores is completely done out of recycled material. That is, it means it is sustainable to the world, it is sustainable globally, so to the environment. So that is something which is very, very important. We need to keep in mind the sustainable essence of our apparels, right? Now, after your WGSN research and your market research, you start with your visual boards, that is your mood boards and the color boards. And once your boards are complete, you start with your silhouette research. Silhouette research means where you have to understand what your consumer is going to prefer to wear, and you're going to develop silhouettes in that way, right? Once your silhouettes are ready, you will select, as in your brand is going to select the final range that they want to move forward with, and then that range goes into production. So you need to do your fabric sourcing, you need to understand your patterns, your prints, whether you want to move forward with techniques like 3D printing, whether you want to work with smart fabrics, you want to work with organic fabrics. So all of these things are going to come after you have selected your range. And then you get approvals and you have to start your manufacturing process. Once the manufacturing is done, then you have to promote the product. Promotion can be done through either graphic or photographic styling. So this is majorly the design process that works in the industry, which you need to understand. And this is something that you cannot forget. So make sure that you remember the design process. Okay. Okay. To understand the idea of how artificial intelligence has actually reached the fashion industry and how it has helped the consumers, I'm going to play this small video for you all. And I want you all to follow this thoroughly. If you have any queries after this video, we will take them up. Okay.
Fashionable, accessible, and seamless. Alibaba has opened a new fashion AI concept store right next to university's fashion labs, where academics, engineers, and fashionistas are working together to use fashion. Shifting to the concept store, the checkers can opt into a discount from personalized experiences. It has environmental differences like items and pickup. people that like to try to find it out. Is that going to kill me? Like,
Okay, guys. So did you follow this? Any questions related to the video? So this video is something that actually tells us about how, artificial intelligence has paved a great way in the industry. You see, imagine going to a store like this and you just are standing in front of the mirror and you can just connect your phone, your application and operate, just go through that and understand what you can plan your entire ensemble. Like imagine I've just picked up a top and you have related to the top, you have a variety of options of which kind of trousers you want to work with, or if you want to go for a skirt, and if you're going with a skirt along with that top, then what kind of heels or sandals can you move forward with. So AI has actually entered the fashion industry and it's proved to be very beneficial. And things like this have been happening in Hong Kong, in China, and in Korea as well. So it's really interesting. Alibaba, I'm not sure if you guys know it, but Alibaba is a major brand. In fact, they do their deliveries in India as well. The shipping costs a little expensive because it comes from outside, like outside of India. But then yes, Alibaba has been, it's one of the major brands which has actually started to incorporate artificial intelligence among themselves. Okay, so let's move forward with again, as we were discussing about how social media has changed the fashion industry, there are a few points that support the view of how the changes have happened and whether these changes have been beneficial for the fashion industry. Now, if you see the picture just below the text, you see that it is again a very good picture that shows us the FX mirror. So again, that is a 3D figure on which you can just touch and you can, try on different clothes. You can pick up any trousers, you can pick up any shirt and you can plan it. In fact, it is also going to give you options as to what is going to match with what. So, you do not have to worry that you will have to look or roam around the entire store. Just like we saw in the video, one very important thing that we saw in the video was that you can, go to the trial room and let's say it happens. I mean, with me, it happens a lot of times. I go to the trial room and I either end up getting a smaller size or a bigger size, right? So this happens with us so many times. Imagine that you just have a screen with you on the mirror and you update the size. Let's say it's a small size, you update the size and someone from the staff is going to come to you and give you the size that you've asked for directly because they're going to get the update outside. So it is so handy and it is so feasible. So we see that all of these concepts, a lot of countries have started to incorporate these concepts. Let's hope that they start coming to India soon. As I said, we were discussing about these social media, how these social media handles have got changes to the fashion industry. A few points that would support this would be more valuable interactions. Now, more valuable interactions in the terms of the one-on-one interactions that the consumer can actually have with the brand or with the brand. So you do not have to worry if you want to look for something. You can just directly get in touch with the consumer, or the consumer can directly get in touch with the brand, and they can discuss and probably talk about their preferences with them. The shopping habits have become very, very easier, meaning you do not need to look for more time, or you do not need to move probably out of your homes to buy something. You can just directly log into your apps, and you can see whatever you want to buy. So it's become so easy, it becomes so handy. You can plan your entire ensemble, you can plan the entire look of your garment, the entire look that you want to carry for any occasion, just sitting at home, lying on your beds. So that is how the shopping habits have become so easy with the coming of technology in the industry. The introduction of storytelling, this would mean that whenever you have the coming in, usually when we have these big brands launches happening, we see that they start to build up a story before that, right? So a very good example can be of Christian Dior. Whenever they have any specific collection coming up, or whenever they have any specific, let's say, handbag or anything like that, any product coming up, they usually build a story before that. So let's say the launch event is next week. So from this week, starting from this week, they are going to start putting up a lot of pictures. They are going to put up a lot of reels and a lot of videos on Instagram or on Facebook, starting to make the people aware of what inspiration they have taken, and how the product has been created, whether the product is sustainable or not. So how do you think this is possible? All of this is possible only through technology. If technology would not have been there in the industry, it wouldn't have been so easy for the consumer to understand and buy things, buy products. Probably I would just have a look and say, okay, it's a 1,75,000 bag, let it be, I don't want to buy it, right? But when you actually understand the production of it, then maybe someone who can afford it can think, okay, I think I can buy this. So again, it depends on the client demands. It depends on the clients, how much the client is ready to spend, what is the market that is being catered to. So all these factors are kept in mind. Another important thing is improved accessibility. Again, technology has proved to be very, very accessible. As I told you, you can just log into your applications, you can download your applications, and you can just, with a click, you can buy whatever you want, right? So you don't have to work. You don't have to worry much. Consumers are contributors in the way that consumers have started to engage themselves in these processes. Through the coming in of technology, consumers have got in a habit of getting to know the brand, and they have started to give an idea of what their preferences are to the brand. So the brand again caters to those consumers in terms of what preferences they would go up to, right? So that is one very important thing that we see. Another important factor is celebrity endorsements. Celebrity endorsements, we see that is very, very common. You see a lot of pictures on Instagram as well. You see how brands usually target a celebrity. Anyone can tell me what is the reason of targeting a celebrity to endorse the brand? Anyone? You can just raise your hand, or you can put in your answers in the chat box. Guys, I've just got a few questions for you. Let me just complete this slide, and then we'll move forward with your questions, okay? Okay, can anyone tell me, yeah, okay. So Deepmala says that people are influenced by the celebrities, and Parul says because fans follow them more. Yes, perfect. To establish the brand to be big enough to have a celebrity ambassador. I think the first two answers that I got are perfectly, they are perfect examples of why celebrity endorsements are done. People usually prefer to follow celebrities because they are able to relate themselves more with celebrities. That is one of the major reasons why celebrities endorse the brands. Because, okay, I'll just give you a very basic example. I'm going to a wedding tomorrow, okay? And I mean, I'm not going to a wedding tomorrow. It's just an example. Let's say that I'm going to a wedding tomorrow and I need to wear something ethnic, right? So what am I going to do? I'm going to probably open Deepika Padukone's page, or I'm going to open Kiara Advani's page, and I'm just going to check out what they had been wearing in terms of any ethnic product category. So, you like something, okay, maybe I can just get this stitched, or maybe I can look for a garment like this and buy it online, right? So we do that. We get influenced by celebrities. So that is the reason celebrity endorsements happen, because consumers are able to relate more with celebrities and they prefer to follow the trends and the styles that a celebrity is following. So that is the reason those endorsements are actually carried forward by celebrities. Then one very important practice that we notice on Facebook and Instagram. In fact, Instagram was the first social media handle that had actually started this practice of tagging brands. Now, why do you tag a brand? If you look up on pages of these celebrities, and if you look up pages of fashion influencers or a lot of bloggers, they have tagged the brands. The reason is to make people aware. Again, when you tag a brand, the brand sometimes sponsors your look, because the brand knows that this person is, making us more publicly visible to the consumer. So that is the reason the brands are tagged. Okay. And then lastly, we see that social media has actually brought diversity to the industry. So these are some very important factors that we see have actually come in with the emergence of technology in the fashion industry. Okay, we're going to start with the questions now. Okay.
So tell me which one you would like to take first, and then I'll unmute the...
Yeah, I'll just open my chat box. Okay, I think Manya has a question.
Okay. You want me to her?
Ms. Basin, can you unmute Parul Sharma first? She has put the first question, so we'll unmute her first and then we can...
Okay. Fine.
Yeah.
Parul, you can take your question. Hello, Parul.
Hi, ma'am.
Yeah.
Hi, Parul.
Thank you for Hi, ma'am. So my question is, why is Indian market not accepting AI yet?
Okay, what makes
Like,
you...
why are we lagging?
Why do you think that the Indian market is not accepting AI?
Like, even if we are accepting, we are still like, we haven't seen this much in India.
Yes.
As we see in China, Hong Kong, and like in Korea.
Yeah. You are right. It's not that the Indian market is not accepting AI. The Indian market is very much accepting AI, but it's just that there are some brands who haven't entered this artificial intelligence league as a whole, right? I'll give you a very small example. When you visit stores, in fact, a lot of stores have installed these small screens as soon as you visit the billing counter. right? So
Right.
screen it's a touch screen where you actually talk about your experience, right? So you have a few questions, let's say 5 6 questions, where you can share your experience, whether there was someone who actually helped you, and if that someone helped you in looking for clothes, or did you have to do it all by yourself. So have you seen any screens?
Like a small feedback, right?
Yeah, it's like a feedback thing that happens
Yeah.
on the touch screen, right?
Right.
Yeah, so that is, I wouldn't say that it is something which is a part of artificial intelligence, but we see that brands are going digital. India is a developing country, right? There is a lot of
Right.
investment also that is going to happen in cases like this. So it's going to take time, but it's not that the Indian market is not accepting artificial intelligence. It is very much accepting artificial intelligence, but again, it's going to take time to enter the Indian market.
So
Right?
like in near future, maybe?
Yes, definitely in the near future.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, Parul. Is the same we have?
Janviji, with your permission,
Yeah.
can I also respond to this question?
Yes, please, Naseem.
Yes.
Please go forward.
Okay. So let me tell you the reason why I started this initiative was because we have such great companies in the AI space working out of India, and they are doing work for all international brands. But our Indian brands are actually not taking up the advantage of the technology prowess that we have. And that was one of my starting points of really conceptualizing this particular hackathon. And in AI space, especially, there are a couple of people. Yesterday, we had a session which was on an artificial intelligence based mirror. Fashion Mirror is the name, and we had a brief interaction with the startup yesterday. We are also we have one brand called Shamshik, which is there. So we will be having a session on 9th, which is for that. In fact, this lady, she's from India, and she has actually incorporated 360-degree modeling of fashion garments. Especially, you can take your measurements and all without any interaction virtually. So there are a lot of companies who are working in India. Unfortunately, the brands are not really using them in India. And this is one opportunity where we can actually have some of these young innovators who are working in the technology area. We have a great strength in artificial intelligence. And I'm reminded of the early 90s, where and the software services hadn't picked up at that point of time. And product, why are we not using it for our own purposes? That means that we had to create brands. And the brand right now in the AI, we have sufficient expertise available in India. The IBM research center is located in India, and IBM is a forerunner for most of the brands that you mentioned actually use most of them use the IBM technology, especially for the fashion industry. And but unfortunately, the Indian brands are not using it. So effectively, we all see products which were made by Indians, but then we really not being used by the Indian brands, but by used by the international brands after. So it's just like the early years where we were actually having the muslin cloth, and we were exporting it to England, and England was manufacturing the shirts and the garments and sending it back to us at an exorbitant price. The same situation is going to happen if we really don't bring in these two together, and the IT prowess that we have in especially in AI, NASSCOM has a special interest group on artificial intelligence, and I'm trying to really move towards really making that more inclusive to really have fashion and sustainable fashion as a part of this thing. That's the reason why this whole thing was conceptualized. So I couldn't resist responding to this, because we have great strength in artificial intelligence. And I can tell you, some of my hackathons, we've had some very interesting ideas come up in the corona times, how you could solve some of these challenges, not essentially in the fashion space, but in terms of the lifestyle products, which are very usable, which means products which are health wearables, masks to be precise, which are infused with some of the Indian traditional products like copper. So you have a copper coating on the mask, which actually gives you a much bigger virus, this thing. Efforts which have been happening in nanoparticles. And I remember about 10 years back, I set up a nano textile related group, and we actually promoted it to Bhilwara and some of the other textile manufacturing companies, where as low as about 2 to 20 rupees a meter, you could actually coat the entire nano coating on the on the fabric, right at the production process itself. So there are tremendous amount of opportunities that one needs to really kind of bring it into the mainstream. And I think initiatives like this, where academics, the entrepreneurs, startups, and technologists come together, we can do wonders. For example, last week, we had a session, not as a part of this particular bootcamp, but there was a session on a product called lantana. Lantana is something that is grown in any of these, I mean, it grows in the wild. And this product has this particular shrub, I can say, basically has a lot of application in terms of getting vegetable dyed and very strong colors you can really get out of it. And almost all the parts of this particular shrub can be used for dyeing process. And traditionally it came from UK, but then it has been adapted in India in some parts, especially in the tribal area, where they use it for dyeing purposes. So we need to really come back and really look at some of the traditional methods and how do we merge it with the fashion. That is where we can make a, there is one company that I worked with, where we were able to actually produce garments which were in the vegetable dyed and hand embroidered. So this was a combination which was just not there earlier. This kind of choice was not available, and now it has become a trend. And I'm talking about over 20 years back. So there are a lot of experimentation that has to be done, and unfortunately this experimentation has not been done in India so much. And the reason why hackathons are organized are just to really see, you can experiment in 5 to 10 days environment, and if things go right, you can actually set up an accelerator to accelerate that particular process into a full-fledged startup, or that startup can accelerate himself by bringing in a lot more value to the whole process. And I'm in the process of really getting some support. Yesterday, in fact, one of the videos that we shared on AI caught the attention of the to share the next one. So that's the kind of interest that people whom you don't know are watching, but they are watching very carefully. So there is tremendous amount of interest that is available in AI in India, and we have a lot of expertise in AI that I can assure you. Students from all over the colleges, especially the tier 2 colleges, take a lot of interest in learning AI. I've personally led a lot of students to MIT curriculum on AI, and we've been able to produce a lot of products. And today, if you see the current healthcare system, that is Ayushman Bharat, is a product out of that. I mean, it underlying technology is artificial intelligence, and if one can do that in the healthcare, why can't we do it in the fashion industry? And that's where uh, the whole objective. It might be a long pause that I have given to this thing, but I thought it is worth sharing, because until and unless we really interact from both the sides, we will not really learn what are the strengths that information technology that we have in India, and how we can really bring it into the fashion world. We can't go to the next step, because it's not about adopting technology alone, but by becoming the world leader in the, I mean, my personal goal has been to really make fashion more inclusive, and fashion produced in India, not supporting the brands and selling the brands products. So if we can create products, that is where we should be really working on. So which other question you would like to really take next?
Ms. Bhasin, I think I have again one question from Parul. She says, how important is it to learn about this technology as a designer? So Parul, are you there?
So Parul
Yeah,
is
Yeah. Yes, Parul. So what is exactly, like, what are you exactly asking?
like as a designer, we are really into creativity and all. So like if we talk about technology, it's all coding and all, as like I know. Is it like how important it is for a designer to learn that part as well?
Okay.
So or is it only about like if we have to just tell our idea to the engineers and all, and they'll develop it, or we should have that knowledge?
Parul, see, technology, as I told you, is not just, it's not only coding in fashion. When you work on softwares, when you create digital garments, when you create
Right,
3D
right,
garments, that is also technology, right? When you work on 3D
right.
printing, that is also technology. When you try to get sensors, as I was giving you example of a yoga pant, a pair of yoga pants, which has some sensors installed in it, which helps you in understanding which part of the body should do the movement, so that you can do your yoga in a better manner. That is also technology. So technology as a whole, if you're a designer, we are not asking you to develop an application, but we are asking you to get the idea of what can be done in an apparel to create a technologically advanced. That is what you need to understand. That is the creativity level that you should have. Okay?
Okay, okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, Parul. Ms. Bhasin, there's Manya Sharma says that she wants to unmute herself. She wants to raise a question.
right. I have asked her to unmute.
Yeah.
Hello, ma'am.
Yeah.
Actually, my question is about an idea I was actually thinking about. That idea was about displaying digital garments in malls and stores, so that when a consumer is going for shopping, or even as a brand, when it comes to manufacturing, उनको इतना investment नहीं करना पड़ेगा, because it will be more of uh, AR or VR, and the work of sensors that will be put into a store to make it look even appealing for the customers to come, and वहाँ पे trial का भी पूरा setup होगा. I had this idea. So I had this question कि how can I actually execute it if I have this creative idea?
Okay, Manya, see, as what you've explained me, there's one problem with this idea. You have the consumers coming to the store, and you do not have your production ready. So do you think the consumer is going to wait if they're coming for a ready to wear garment? I mean, okay, if the garment belongs to a couture product category, or if the garment belongs to an avant-garde product category, but if it belongs to a ready-to-wear or a pret or a loungewear category, do you think your consumer is going to wait for the production of that particular garment? That is the idea.
Ma'am, Technically, when I thought of this idea, it was for the bridal wear segment because it takes time for the brands to actually alter them according to the sizes.
Hmm. See, if you're talking about it completely, according to me, it completely depends on the product category. If you talk about a product category like couture, or if you're talking about avant-garde product category, this can still be executed. But if you are talking about a product category which is basic like pret or casual, ready to wear, or formal wear, lounge wear, resort wear, these categories are not going to be workable with this idea. The reason is because with the coming of technology, what we have done in the industry is that as designers, we do not, when we go for the sampling part, instead of getting samples manufactured, what we do is we create garments on 3D softwares, right? So you sew the fabric and you create garments on 3D softwares, and those pictures are then showed to the brand or the buyer, right? Once the approval comes on the basis of those garments, only then they go for manufacturing. So this is a new technique which a lot of buying houses and a lot of export houses have started to adopt, right? So you know what used to happen, let's say that you have a brand coming in, and you have your area set up and you have your garments. So you need to get the sampling done. Sampling would not be of, let's say, 5, 7, 10 garments. Sampling used to be of around like 100 or probably 100 plus garments. So it's difficult to get so many garments manufactured when you know that some of them only might be selected and the rest would be rejected, right? Because there's a number that every brand follows. Let's say Zara is probably following the number of 20 styles, but because they want 20 styles doesn't mean you are not going to explore. You anyway have to explore around 150, 200, out of which they are going to pick up their 20 garments, right? So earlier, all of the samples used to be manufactured, but now what they do is, now designers do not get their garments into sampling or prototyping. They get them to be created on 3D softwares, which look which gives a very realistic look to the garment. And once that is done, and once the approval comes for those garments that have been created digitally on softwares, only then the selected ones go for manufacturing. So that is the reason, if you're going for a product category like this, the idea that you are talking about cannot be executed in that manner. Okay.
Ma'am, it was originally for the couture. And
Yeah, if you're going for couture, Manya, then yes, it can be done, because again, couture is something that you need the client to visit you, and the client has to tell you what you want, because I'm sure you are aware, you are aware of the product category couture, right? It is a custom made garment which is not supposed to be created by any other client, by any designer or even the same designer, right? So when you're creating a custom made garment, then definitely the client has to visit you, and on the basis of that only will you be creating the garment. So yes, couture, this is already being happening in couture, so it is nothing new that you are talking about. You're getting what I'm saying, Manya?
yes, ma'am, but I think couture collection also adds on to brands like Anita Dongre and Sabyasachi and Ritu Kumar for their bridal collection.
Right.
So for that specific category, I was saying that the display in their stores can be such that when consumers are actually coming to buy, so with the help of AR and VR and sensors, they can just try on the garment and just see if it fits them and everything, and then they can just order it with the size and everything.
You are okay. I would say that at the path that you are thinking, Manna, you might be right. But the idea is the product category here. This product category that you are talking about, this is already workable in this manner. You're understanding? Because okay, I think I'm not able to explain you in a very simple manner. I'll try to simplify myself. What I'm saying here is a couture garment is created only as per the wishes of the client, right? And whatever, see, when you talk about Anita Dongre and when you talk about Sabyasachi, these are brands, these are designers who are catering to a very, very small clientele. Okay, so when you cater to such a small clientele, then again, I would suggest you to do a survey on this first. You can prepare a questionnaire and you can create like a good questionnaire, good set of questions, do a survey on this, and then see what result you get. That would be my suggestion before moving forward with this idea.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, Manya.
So I think there is a question from Shubhangi Verma.
Yes, Shubhangi, can you unmute Shubhangi?
Yeah, I'll do that. Shubhangi, you are unmuted.
I'm unmuted. Ma'am, my question is, there are already brands and individuals which are inculcating these AI practices in their in developing the garments. So when you mentioned that there are yoga pants which are sensor developed. So what is one such constraint that they face to market them widely? Like, why aren't they available for the normal user?
Shubhangi, the major thing that the constraint that brands have here is that this is something which is not cheap, I would say. Now, I'll give you the example of that trucker jacket, which I was talking about, Levi's had gotten manufactured. That is a $350 jacket, right? So
Okay.
brands are still in the way of getting, technology probably being used in a way that requires, that is less, as in when we talk about 3D printing, that is cost effective, right? So it is not going to be that expensive because it is majorly machine work. So again, when you buy a garment that is 3D printed, that might not cost you more. But when you talk about garments that have sensors and, that can probably check your heartbeats and get your blood pressure rates, things like that, this is going to be specifically for the time when we talk about now, it's going to be a little expensive than the basic garments that we buy, right? So again, it depends on the market again. If the client is ready to spend, then why not? Then people definitely buy it. But then if the client is not ready to spend that amount of money, then in that case, the brand has to step back. So that is one of the major reasons which I have noticed in the market, due to which people do not buy. But yes, if someone can afford and who would think that it is useful, would definitely buy it. So it completely depends on the income capacity of the consumer as well, right?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Any other thing, Shubhangi?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
So I don't think we have any other question right now. So would you like to continue or?
Yes. I would like to continue. I think you will have to give me the, I'll have to do the screen sharing for the presentation.
You have that. You can just go ahead.
Yeah, okay. So my presentation is shared with everyone.
No, you'll have to really restart your presentation, go into the mode.
Yeah, exactly. So I do not have, you will have to, you'll have to disable that, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So guys, let's move further now. Let's talk about how social media has actually bridged the gap between the buyers and fashion brands, and also between consumers. So we see that a lot of interests have been shared. As I told you, that consumers are now able to talk directly with brands. They are able to get in touch with the brands and make them understand what their preferences in terms of colors, in terms of garments, in terms of silhouettes are. One very good example of 3D printing and the cutting edge technology would be of Iris van Herpen. She is one designer who from the beginning of her career has been working only with fashion tech movement. So she has been involved majorly with 3D printing techniques in her garments. The picture that you see on the screen is one of Iris van Herpen's garments. And this is a kind of 3D printing that has been done by her. If you follow her on Instagram, you can check out her pages and you will see that majorly, let's say around whatever garment she's working on, it definitely has 3D printing happening. And also she works with very lightweight fabrics. So if you see, the fabrics are so light and they are so, the fall is amazing. So it gives a very good impression of the garment that has been constructed. Also, when we talk about mobile and e-commerce technologies, that was one very, very important transformation that happened in the fashion industry in terms of technology. It is so easy for the customers now to just browse anything, click on their phones, and they can purchase it directly. So as I was giving you the example of the dressing room app that had been established by the US retailer Gap, this app actually has AR technology, the augmented reality technology, where you do not need to go to the store. You can just sit at home and you can digitally plan your entire outfit, try on the measurements, get it customized, and you can purchase the item from there directly. Right. Another important thing that we see happening on Instagram, Snapchat, and on Facebook as well is that these applications have now opened the feature where you can actually, if you own a brand, you can actually add prices. You can add price codes to your product, to whatever products pictures that you have added. So brands like Burberry, brands like Michael Kors, Kate Spade, all of these brands have started to engage themselves into this practice. What happens is they upload a picture and they put a price tag to that picture. So when you click on the picture, you can actually see the price. And when you click on that tag, you can directly reach the website. You can reach the brand's website and the page is going to be opened for that particular product. And you can just simply click and buy your product from there. So this is how handy Instagram has made itself. Instead of visiting, the page of the brand, or instead of visiting the website of the brand, you can just directly buy it from Instagram, or you can even buy it from Facebook. So this is one thing that Instagram has introduced. Another very important thing that Instagram introduced recently is putting the shop tag in their stories. So, I'm sure everyone is aware of Instagram stories. So if a brand has put up their story, if they have launched any product, or if they are selling any product, they just put the picture of that product and they add a tag of shop underneath. So you again do not need to visit the page, or you do not need to specifically log into the website, in a separate browser. You can just simply click on the shop icon and you can reach the website and you can buy the product from there. So these are some very important factors that social media handles have actually offered to the consumers. Also, one very important thing that you will notice in Facebook and on Instagram is as well are the sponsored ads. So let's say, for example, that I'm sitting on Facebook and just scrolling down my newsfeed, and you will see that, let's say, the Collective, it has a lot of luxury brands. So the Collective is a page and they have had some new collections, some new things being launched up. So you can just go through and scroll through them. So once you do that, it takes a track of what you are doing. And accordingly, every time you're going to visit Facebook, every time you're going to open your page, you will see that that sponsored ad is going to be visible to you. So that is this is some, I would say, kind of the ways that consumers are being targeted by these brands, because see, every time you somehow tend to you tend to drive yourself towards it. Because when you have something popping up every now and then, whenever you're opening your news feed, you would definitely open it and you would see that, let's talk about Nykaa. Nykaa is also doing this every time on Instagram and Facebook. If I I've noticed this so many times. I open Instagram and I have these sponsored ads from Nike, especially when they have the sale season going on. So you check it out once, and every time when you go on Instagram or Facebook, you will see that, you know, every time you're going to get those ads every time. So what are they doing? They are specifically targeting the consumers through those ads, and they are likely to make the consumers purchase whatever products they are displaying. So, you know, like this, the brand can actually reach to the wider audience. So this is one very important factor that you will notice on Facebook and Instagram. Also, through these social media handles, fashion has become very, very accessible. It's been easy to get in touch with brands. It's become so easy to shop online. It has become so easy to understand trends. Every time new trends are being launched or followed, you will see social, these fashion influencers and fashion bloggers just going through those trends and putting up their videos and pictures. And you can just, follow them. And it's not mandatory that you just have to follow a person from India. It can be from anywhere in the country. You can follow them and you can understand new trends that are coming into these, into the industry. Also, one very important thing that we see is that a lot of people have actually risen through these social media handles. Now, when we talk about these these fashion influencers like Komal Mata Kapoor or the Cheek Factor or all of these. Now, what were they? They were just normal people who would like to style their clothes or probably wear something branded and put pictures of themselves. Slowly and steadily, they reached a level where they have become very recognizable icons in the industry. So what have they done? They have just made themselves active on social media. They have made a lot of fans and followers. People have started to follow them. And, once you start following, you start understanding what that person is, and you might probably just want to wear what that person is wearing or probably relate yourself to that person. So that is very, very common. Now, I'll give you an example of this hair stylist by the name of Sarah Angius. She is, I think, somewhere from Europe, and no, she's from the Middle East. And what she does is she was a full-time hairstylist, but now she's a part-time hairstylist, and she just keeps styling her hair in different ways sitting at home, and she keeps uploading her videos on Instagram. And she has around like 1 million followers or probably more than that. Now, what people have started doing is the people who follow her, they have started to follow her hairstyling techniques. They try to do those techniques on their hair, and then they post videos, they put pictures, and they start tagging Sarah Angius on those videos. So you understand how a person becomes famous. So this is how you can actually become recognizable in, through those social platforms. So this is also something that we see has been happening on Facebook and majorly on Instagram. Another important point that I would like to give you here would be that social media has brought diversity to the fashion industry. Now, this would mean that people earlier who had felt that they were unrepresented, be it in the form of, let's say, handicraft, someone who's involved into handicrafts, or someone who belongs to a very remote area and is doing some kind of, some kind of handwork or something. They have now got an opportunity through social media where they can promote themselves, and, they can make a lot of fans and followers, and people actually have started to buy such, things and promote their work. So this is something that we see has been possible only because of social media. Okay, so ending the topic about how social media has helped evolve the fashion industry there, we're going to talk about a few tech garments and 3D technology in fashion that have been established recently over time. And we will look at some amazing technological advancements that had happened in the industry. So let's begin with that. If you have any queries, again, you can put them in the chat box and we'll go through them. Okay, so in recent years, a few very important things that we have noticed are in artificial intelligence. It has majorly enhanced the experience of the consumers, the shopping experience of consumers. It has also helped people understand the forecasting trends, what trends are going to come in the future, what trend they should follow right now. Another very important thing that artificial intelligence has introduced is the coming in of chatbots. So chatbots are your examples would be like Siri. So people who use iPhones would know what Siri is. And also Alexa, I'm sure you know what Alexa is. So Alexa is also an example of a chatbot, all right? So what are chatbots? Here what happens is that you have anything you want to ask, there is any query, there is anything you want to search on the net, you can just open your Siri or you can open your Alexa and you can put questions and it is going to answer to you as if you're talking to an actual human. So that is what artificial intelligence does, right? So let's say I'm traveling somewhere and I'm flying somewhere and I want to know the weather of that place. So I can just ask Siri, what's the weather of this place? Or probably Alexa, can you tell me what is the weather of this particular place? So it has become so easy for, consumers to relate to these things. And also one very important thing that we see is that you can actually, let's say, for example, I'm sitting on Alexa and I want to the new Alexa Echo Dot, which is completely touchscreen. So instead of actually touching it and doing your things, it also has a feature where you can just directly question it. So let's say I want to buy something from Tata Click. I can just simply say, Alexa, open Tata Click and I want to shop a range of handbags from Kate Spade, right? So you can just simply say that and the entire website is going to be opened for you. So all of this is possible because of artificial intelligence, and artificial intelligence, again, technology, the advancements that have been happening in technology. Now, let's look at some very extraordinary and some amazing technological advancements that have been done in our industry in the recent years. We'll start with the vibrations that happen in sportswear. So this is the yoga pants that I was talking about initially. Now, this is a fitness clothing, and it is the name of the pants is the Nadi Yoga pants, and it has been brought up by Wearable. That's a brand. It has accelerometers and vibrating meters that are installed within the yoga pants, and it has been woven into the fabric. So that means there is nothing that is attached separately to the garment, but these are very, very tiny, wires sort of that are woven along with the fabric, and it is done around a specific, a few specific areas of the body. So that is the hips, the knees, and the ankles. Now, what happens is whenever you do movement, it gently vibrates in this area and helps you in understanding how to move. So it's basically giving you a few instructions that, okay, the leg should not be moved like this, the leg should be moved like this. So those sensors vibrate, which gives you instruction on how to move. The major thing that you need to do while wearing these pants is that you will have to pair it with the Nadi Yoga app. So there's an application that you need to download, and it is going to step by step correspond to the vibrations while you are wearing your pants. Okay. The data is then collected, and then this application is going to track your goals, and it's going to comment on your performance, whether you have done your yoga in the correct manner, how much calories did you lose, and how much you should do the next day. So it's everything like you're going to a gym and an instructor will tell you that, okay, this is what you need to do. So it's like a digital instructor that has been installed in your phone, and it's just telling you how, your exercises can be done. So this is one very important development that we have seen in the industry. Another important development that we saw in the recent years is of the color changing clothes. So I'm sure you all are aware of the LED lights that have been embedded in a lot of clothes and accessories, and this has become very, very common. And it has also proved to be a major success in the industry. Other than that, the College of Optics and Photonics at the University of Central Florida, that is US, they had announced the first user-controlled color changing fabric. That means that you can actually control the changes that are happening in the color of the fabric of the product that you are carrying. Okay, so you can just do it with a click on your smartphone. The name is Chromorphous, right? So it is a new innovation within the textile industry. It's a kind of fabric that has been introduced. It's an active and a user controlled fabric, and it is also known as an e-textile. That means it's completely technologically driven. So Chromorphous is a color changing fabric. That is the name of the fabric. And you can actually control the colors, and you can even control the patterns. So let's say, for example, that you see the picture that I have put on my slide, that is of a handbag. So let's say it's a purple colored handbag, and you just need to download the application that is related to this fabric. And let's say, for example, I do not want a solid color and I need stripes on my handbag. So you can just click on the stripes option, and the color of your handbag is going to be changed into a striped pattern, right? So this is another advancement that we see has been working very, very successfully. Now, what happens here is that the reason this is happening is because each thread that has been woven into this fabric, it incorporates with a very thin metal wire, which is installed in the fabric while it's woven. All right. So what happens is that electric current flows through these wires, through these small micro wires, and then the temperature rises. The temperature of the threads rises, and it makes it change color, or it makes it change probably the pattern. So this is how you can just control your colors and your patterns with just a click. You just have to click, you open the application, click, and you can change the pattern or the color. So this is another very important technological advancement that we have seen throughout in the industry. Another important advancement is of the built-in sensors that collect medical data. This is very well happening in our gadgets, Apple Watches, your MI watches, those smart fit bands. All of these have been proved to be very, very useful. And specifically, I would say with the lifestyle that we carry, this is something that I think is needed at a great pace, right? So we do not have time. Our lives are at such a great pace. And, I also have my watch. I have a digital watch, and it actually guides me. A lot of times when I'm sitting in office, it gets so hectic that you do not have the time to probably get up or take a long breath and relax yourself. So, this is something which keeps on giving me signals. I think 10 minutes back, it gave me a signal that you have been sitting since 2 hours. So now you need to stand up and you need to start moving, right? So it's like, this is coming from technology, right? So this is something which is happening on a digital watch. Imagine something like this has been happening with your garments as well, right? So Om Signal is the brand who has created a lot of product categories like activewear, workwear, and even sleepwear with these built-in sensors that are collecting medical data. And it has manufactured bras, t-shirts, and even shirts with a kind of stretchy fabric which has this built-in ECG, respiration, and physical activity sensors. So it's going to check your blood pressure, it's going to check your heart rate, it's going to check your ECG, it's going to check whether you are breathing properly or not. The data is collected and then it is sent to the cloud from where you can check out the information, right? So this is something where you can probably wear to work, right? So if you see this lady here is wearing, it's like a t-shirt bra that she's wearing, and you're just wearing this underneath your formal clothes if you're going to office. And it is going to probably give you sensors, or probably is going to vibrate when you've been too much stressed out at work. So it's going to give you a little this thing that you can start calming yourself down, or probably it's going to tell you things that you can do while you are, so that you can sleep soundly. So this important thing is also present in iWatch, Apple's watch, where if let's say, for example, that you have been talking too much or you've been working a lot without moving, then it's going to give you a few vibrations, and it's going to tell you to sit, relax for like 2 minutes, and then breathe in and breathe out. So it's going to, it has a sensor which gives you small, like very, very small vibrations, and which helps you in breathing in and breathing out. Right? So all these, imagine these things that were happening on gadgets, on our phones, on our watches, are now even, prevalent in garments as well. And here, this is rechargeable. The battery of this thing is rechargeable, and it is also sweat resistant. So this is something which helps you in keeping fit, in keeping yourself fit, and it's built in clothes as well. So this is another very major technological advancement that happened in the industry, and it has proved to be successful. This is another technological advancement that we see had happened in the industry. It is woven in touch sensors to control a phone. And this is the trucker jacket that I had been talking about, that had been created by Levi's in collaboration with Google. Okay, so this is Levi's commuter trucker jacket, and this is the first garment which is made out of jacquard and by Google woven in. So it has very tiny electronics that are fitted within the cuff of the jacket, right? So what happens is that you can connect your phone with this thing. Basically, these are very small, wires that are woven inside the jacket. The jacket is washable as well, so you don't have to worry that if I'm buying a garment like this, I might not be able to wash it, or I might have to get it dry clean. No, it's like any other garment. It's jacquard, so you can just get it washed whenever you want, right? And you can connect your phone, and it's going to give you signals on if you have any information coming in, if you have any call coming in. It's going to give you a flashing light if you have any messages, or things like that. So all of that is going to happen on the cuff. So you can see this picture here, which has this USB thing connected to it. You can pull this USB out, and then you can throw your jacket for the wash. So it is that simple, right? And it also has a battery, and the battery can actually last up to 2 weeks, which is a very, very long time, right? It can actually give you signals on when, if let's say, for example, I've booked an Uber. So it's going to give you a signal when your Uber is almost, on your location, or it is about to arrive. It can also give you gestures. So you can set all these things up, right? You will get a better understanding of this jacket. I'm going to show you a video where this person is wearing this jacquard, just this trucker jacquard jacket by Levi's, and he's going to explain what actually happens in the jacket. So follow this video.
I've been waiting to buy a Levi's trucker jacket for over a year. That's how long it's been since Levi's on Google announced this jacket. It's the trucker commuter jacket with hard. And it has a pretty expensive price. A design of $350. So why the long wait, and why that very expensive price? Well, this jacket has intelligent capacitive players woven into the wool, so that you can just do that. And it connects to your cell phone by a Bluetooth network. So let's check that out. So once your parents set up, this is what we have. You really got 3 4-core gestures, and you can customize them to do whatever you want. So the first is this one's really tap, and you don't tap, and then it just gives you this is pretty cool. And then you can also just cover your sleeve to stop whatever the gestures that it's doing. When the card comes up and you're on your bike, it automatically defaults to reading all of your notifications out loud, which is potentially set to this thing called gate, which means it was only around context. But really, one of the most fun things you can do is actually just see how this works. And you can see how these capacitive threads work. So if I open this thing up, these threads represent threads on the sleeve. So it's kind of fun. I guess. You can get ties, so it's a very simple act, but that's on purpose because this is brand new. It's meant to be just a couple of things around. So that's how the app works. The app isn't this is just a nice jacket. And in fact, you can treat it like you would in once you take out this little next to your phone, set aside, you can throw the whole jacket in your wash. So you can just treat it like anything else. And it works really well for its purpose, which is people who commute by bicycle. So extend on the back, reflectors on the top, and not fall in the back. So 350 admittedly is a bit more than you normally pay for but it's not crazy for a very nice piece of clothing. And if you want your very nice piece of clothing to make you less likely to look at your phone while you're in the money, don't do that. Then it's going to be worth a lot. So that's the
Okay, guys, so I hope that this video actually helped you in understanding how this jacket actually works. So it has become quite famous, and I think it's readily a lot of people have bought it in the US if you check the records. So yeah, it has proved to be very beneficial, and it has been working in a very successful manner as well. I'm just going through if there are any questions, or we'll start, or we'll move forward. Okay, guys. The next very important advancement that we see in terms of technology in the fashion industry is of the clothes that can actually communicate. Now, here, there's a company by the name of Cute Circuit, which actually makes clothes and accessories that can display messages and tweets on the products that you carry that are created by this brand. So recently they have come up with this handbag that you see in the picture, which I have put here on my slide. The name of this handbag is the Mirror handbag, and it is made out of ultra lightweight aerospace aluminum and laser etched acrylic mirror. So meaning that is completely technological, and whenever you will again have to download the application if you want to use this handbag. Number one. Number two, it is rechargeable, so you will have to get it charged. And number three, it is whenever you connect it, you can actually see your messages and tweets being displayed on the front of the handbag. Right. So again, it is app controlled. So just like you wear your Apple Watch, or you wear your Fit bands and your smart bands, when you connect it to your phones via Bluetooth and you download the application in your phones, what happens? You can see the notifications of your WhatsApp messages and your inbox messages or notifications coming from Instagram and Facebook, and they are displayed on the screen of your watch, right? So the same way, imagine something like that is happening on the, on your handbag, the handbag that you are carrying. So it flashes different colored lights, and it also flashes your tweets and messages on the front of the site. So it's app controlled. You will have to download the app, and only then you will be able to use it. So this is another advancement which has proved to be successful. The next very important and the last thing that we will be discussing for today's session in terms of technological advancements is the fabric that can harvest energy. Now, Georgia Tech researchers have actually come up with energy harvesting yarns. That means yarns that can actually harvest energy, that can create energy. So these are washable textiles like any other fabric. You can wash them the way you want. And again, this energy harvesting is done within the yarns. So that is the reason you do not have to worry whether you will be able to get it washed or not. Okay. So how it works, what happens is that it creates there are two different materials that work together and that are sewn together. So what happens is it happens through static electricity, and two different materials just get in together, and friction happens, due to which that energy is generated. Now this can be sewn into different kinds of socks and jumpers and even other clothes. And this kind of fabric, when it can harvest energy, that means you can actually get something connected to it, right? Because it has power in it now. So this production is yet to, I mean, the production is still on the go. It is not complete yet. So the researchers say that once this production is complete, you would be able to even charge a phone with full, as in you can completely charge your phone with this kind of method. So this is one very important technological advancement which is about to come. So let's hope that this comes out in a positive manner. We complete the idea of how and what kind of technological advancements have been done in the industry. We'll move forward with a few basics of what 3D printing in fashion are. As we were discussing about 3D printing, I told you that is one very, very important concept that is existing in the industry. And designers like Iris Van Herpen have already been working since the start of her career on techniques like 3D printing. 3D printing is basically something, it's basically a clothing that you can make movable and flexible, right? So whenever you have 3D printed a fabric, you will see that the fall of the fabric completely changes, right? So this is what 3D printing means. It is done through machines. The name of this flexible material is known as TPU92A1. That is the name of the material. It can be washed, it can be ironed like any other fabric. So you don't have to worry that probably those folds and the drapes that are done might get opened. That doesn't happen, okay? Another flexible material which is used to make 3D printed clothing is Filaflex. That is also very commonly known. So that is one kind of fabric that can be used if you want to do any kind of 3D printing. Now, 3D printing is basically it basically highlights the intricate designs that are, visible to you on your garment. So earlier, these pleating techniques and all that you see on the picture that I have, on the pictures that I have placed on my screen, this would be done through heat transfer methods of pleating and all. But now, since you have 3D printing, it has become very easy to develop styles like this, right? So you can create high levels of detailings and very intricate detailings on your garments using 3D printing. And you do not have to worry that, these folds or these what do you call, these textures would open up. You can just wash them, you can iron them, and they are going to remain the same. One very important thing that we notice here is that it is very, very easy for the designer to create a garment like this, since 3D printing has emerged. Because earlier, before 3D printing, when garments like this were manufactured, it used to be a little difficult if you had to take measurements, if there were any changes in the measurements, because the entire thing had to be opened up and then created, right? Because all of that was happening through draping and all. But since the coming of 3D printing, we see that it has become very easy in terms of measurements also. So just in case you want to change the measurements, it's going to be just like any other garment, like we change measurements in any other garment. So that is not going to be a task now. That is number one. Number two, when you look at these garments, it seems as if the collection is couture or it is avant-garde, but 3D printing is now very well being introduced in basic product categories like athleisure, like sportswear, and even medical care for that matter. So 3D printing has been coming up and it has been used thoroughly in a lot of product categories other than couture and avant-garde categories. 3D printing has also proved to be environmentally friendly. That means you can call it a sustainable technique for our environment. A few very important points that I would like to highlight here are the different environmental initiatives that have been developed in regard to 3D printing. It has helped to accelerate plastic waste because, there is an initiative by the name of Plastif that has been happening in a lot of countries, which helps in collecting plastic waste from offices, and you can you can just get it recycled. Another important point that 3D printing that I would tell you here is that 3D printing helps in reducing waste. So here the manufacturing happens only on the basis of how much fabric you require. That's it. So no fabric is going to be wasted because it happens layer by layer. So layers are cut through the fabric and very minimal amount of fabric is left. Even, if there is some little bit extras, that's it. Majorly, whenever you're doing 3D printing, fabric is not wasted. So that is one very important factor where we are saving a lot of fabric and we are not wasting it. So that becomes a sustainable method. Another important thing that is happening in 3D printing is that it reduces the overall energy waste, right? So it leaves a very small carbon footprint on the environment because the emissions are not great of these 3D printing machines. So again, that is something that is very, very important if we keep the sustainable element in mind. Also, 3D printing has proved to be affordable. So it is not it is not something which cannot be easily afforded by people. So people can buy it. And then again, it is zero waste technology. So it has proved that it is not an expensive technique that is being followed. Another important point would be the reduced shipping needs. So with 3D printing, you can manufacture these products that require 3D printing close to the user. So in that case, you do not have to worry that, a lot of shipping charges are going to be included in your garments. So you can just sell your garments at very minimal rates. So that is one of the reasons, again, why 3D printing has proved to be inexpensive in that way. Also, as I was talking about reduced waste in 3D printing, as I told you, you work layer by layer. So that means there is no scrap or there is no waste fabric that is going to be left over. So that is one thing that you can just stop worrying about. So that is, so I'll tell you one thing, guys. When we talk about Iris Van Herpen, the designer, she has majorly focused on 3D printing, keeping one of the major reasons in mind, that is sustainability. And as I told you, 3D printing is not a new phenomenon. It is only new to the people who were not aware of it while being in the industry. Now it is becoming very much prevalent. The reason is because of the extreme usage of the resources, of the natural resources that we have done. So that is, one reason that we see that Iris Van Herpen has been, since the beginning of time, started to work only with 3D printed garments, right? Also, one very important thing that 3D printing offers is the sustainable material options. You can work with various recyclable fabrics, and it also have environmental friendly solutions. So that is the reason 3D printing is being encouraged, not just in in complex product categories like avant-garde or couture, but it is also encouraged in basic and simple product categories like ready-to-wear and formal wear for that matter. We complete 3D printing here. The next part of the presentation that we will be focusing on, which would be the last thing for today's session, will be the biotechnological revolution that the fashion industry has witnessed in the recent years. Biotechnological revolution is related to biofabrication. It means it involves techniques where you actually use living organisms or living substances to create a garment or to alter a product. Okay, so to create a fabric or to alter a product. So this causes changes in plants and animals, and they basically develop very small microorganisms, different kinds of bacteria and enzymes that help in creating the fabric. Okay, or if you want to do any changes to it. Recycling programs, as I told you, have also been introduced by brands like H&M and Zara. This is very much prevalent in the US. If you study the US market, you will see that brands like H&M and Zara have actually in the recent years urged their consumers to give away the clothing that they feel that they would not wear in the near future, so that they can get those garments recycled and they can come up with new garments. So this is again a very sustainable way in which the industry has started to work. Okay, so As I told you, as per a recent survey, H&M has actually reported that 57% of the materials that they use to make the products in their stores is actually recycled or is sustainable, right? So that is a very good move that H&M has taken. Another important point that we will discuss about biotechnological revolution is that these living beings are actually used to make clothing, and this has proved to be very, very sustainable and environmentally friendly. So that is something that we are actually looking forward to incorporate thoroughly in the fashion industry. In fact, if you go through stories on WGSN and if you do your research work on WGSN, you will see that researchers have put up theories where they say that designers are planning to transform the fashion industry roughly from 90 to 95% in a complete sustainable manner. So that is something that we need to move forward with. In fact, I'm sure there are a lot of you who are planning to launch their own brands or open their own studios. Guys, for the ones who are planning to do that, always keep the sustainable element in mind, because that is something that even consumers are looking forward to. Okay, so you can work towards things like what we've discussed in today's session, talking about these different kinds of bacterias, living organisms that are being used to change fabrics or create fabrics. Also, for that matter, if you want to incorporate 3D printing as a technique that you would introduce in your garments, so you can work with techniques like this. Biotechnology, as I told you, has played a very important role in the fashion industry, and I wouldn't say that it is quite recent. It has been some time since this revolution actually happened in the fashion industry. Enzymes, I'm sure you guys are aware of this, that enzymes are used to routinely do the washes and bleaching of different textiles, and specifically to give that rugged look to the denim fabric. And it also helps in the shrinkage of wool. So you can prevent wool from shrinking if you have added enzymes to it. There's a very famous German industrial supplier by the name of AM Silk. They have genetically engineered bacteria to farm spiders. So they are farming spiders on an industrial scale. And through those spiders, they have started to produce a sustainable fabric by the name of spider silk. So that is a completely sustainable organic fabric, which is produced by a living organism, that is spider. So they purposely farm these spiders, they purposely grow them so that this kind of fabric can be created, right? Also to deal with the environmental impact that the fashion industry has made in terms of water pollution on the world, the UK firm by the name of Faber Futures has been developing an alternative dyeing method through fermentation. So what happens is the bacteria that is known as streptomyces, what they do is they develop color fast dyes. So again, these dyes are going to be developed in such a way that whenever you do the washes, the dyes are not going to lose color. So the color is going to stay. Like when we talk about indigo dyes, every time you make a wash of a garment that has been dyed with indigo, it loses color. But this dye is not going to lose color. The color is going to stay, number one. Number two, it is sustainable, right? So that is again a very important thing that we see has been witnessed, and that is being carried forward by a lot of brands in the industry. To conclude this, I would say that technology has definitely proved to be a very, very important aspect in the fashion industry. In fact, other than the time constraints that we had been talking about that have been reduced, another very important issue of sustainability has been, I wouldn't say it has been completely resolved, but yes, some percentage has been resolved. So if we move towards and if we move in this manner in the fashion industry, I'm sure we would be able to control the impact, the worst impact that has been happening on the environment through the fashion industry. And I'm sure you all would be, would love to be and be a part of this. So specifically for the ones who prefer opening their brands, as I told you, make sure that you are trying to incorporate something like a sustainable element in your garment. That is something that consumers are majorly looking forward to, right? So you can work in that manner as well. In fact, we have had a lot of websites where these websites have been established keeping in mind the idea of collecting the waste garments that people feel that they would not wear in the near future, or probably if they feel that the trends would not emerge again. So these websites have been launched where they can actually collect such garments, they can recycle them and create new products out of it. So yes, so this is something that I think is of utmost importance. We will conclude the workshop here. I have completed what I wanted to talk to you about. If any one of you has any doubts, you are most welcome to put in your queries in the chat box and I will answer them. So Ms. Bhasin, I think you can just see if anyone has any questions, they can just get in touch with me now. Anything, guys, that you want to discuss? You can drop in messages in the chat box.
Yeah, you can drop in a message in the chat box, please. So there's a lot of discussion which has been happening on the chat window. So it's probably the questions have been lost. So any questions? So I don't think there are questions that I can see in the chat window. Okay. So I'd like to thank Jahanvi to really give a very interesting presentation and a workshop on the fashion tech from the fashion viewpoint, and probably kind of it demands that we should have another session like this, a workshop which I had not planned, which actually gives the technology point of view. We did the first workshop, which was the e-textiles workshop, where we actually taught how to develop how to sew the electronics into the fabric, and it can be done through a DIY kit where you could actually develop a lot of innovative ideas, from harmonium in your purse, or a wearable garment with color changing LEDs, especially jackets which you can wear while you are probably if you want to go jogging in the morning, you have very poor visibility, so you could have LEDs showing the people, the car drivers or any traffic that's coming, that you are there, so they don't knock you off. I mean, that's one of the major problems that people have in most of the joggers have and the cyclers have. So there are special products that can be done. And Prem Sagar, who actually conducted this workshop for us, he has been doing this training program and has developed a full-fledged program, which is patented now, which is to have any any person who has a little idea about what he wants to do without too much of technology knowledge can actually do it by themselves. And I think we had about 36 odd students, 36 odd participants in the workshop, because we'd capped it to 50 people. So even today we had a similar kind of numbers, on and off. We had a lot of people coming in and going out, and that's the reason why I've chosen just to invite only the student community and some observers who are actually in the technology area. So there is a lot of synergies that are possible, and that is what we are here to explore in the hackathon. Because if you want to do any of these, except for, I mean, the area that we are not touching in the hackathon is the manufacturing part per se, but you can come up to the design part and actually have a parallel design on the electronic side. So what we need to do from now onwards is the next 3-4 days, we need to really bring these two diverse set of people together and form teams which can actually create something unique. Now, I'm not very sure whether we will be able to do that, because it's the first time that one is attempting it. I have a fairly good number of technology students who are with me, and they said that we don't understand the fashion. So fashion workshop, we are not interested in participating. But at the same time, when there is a technology workshop, then the fashion students are not interested. So I've been trying to bridge the gap, but it's tough to really do that. So I think we need to really kind of take a slightly different approach of having a kind of a slightly longer program in which we can somehow bring the people together in a more sustained manner, rather than coming on and off for a webinar. So that might be this thing. So I'd like to know, before closing, I'd like to invite Yash Arya, who is my co-organizer for this program. And as I am Khadi has been working for a long time to really bring fashion quotient, as well as trying to find synergies between different art forms and of different countries, and blend it with the Indian designers. So one of the very interesting experiments that was done last year by I Am Khadi was to bring Indian designers and the Indonesian designers together to really look at some of the traditional batik of Indonesia, and Indian designers designing clothes on them, and vice versa. So Yash, why don't you introduce yourself and just share what you have been doing and how we intend to really take this to the next level? I need to unmute you 1 minute. Yeah, yes, you are unmuted.
Yeah, first of all, good afternoon, all of you. And Jahanvi ji, your session was very informative. I have learned a lot from it. I do not come from a fashion industry, but it was a good learning experience for me, and we look forward for similar informative and learning sessions from you and from JD Institute. Thank you so much, JD Institute, for your full support in organizing such events. And yes, so coming out, so just would like to inform that who we are. So we are non-for-profit social enterprise. We are working towards promoting the local art forms, that includes handlooms and khadi, from local to global. We recently advocated to Government of India that there is a need for introduction of an HS code for khadi, which was launched last year by the Honorable Commerce Minister, in order to give the impetus to the exports of khadi. So we recently have tied up with the World Trade Center, which has their centers across 90 countries, and they are 356 in numbers globally. So with them, we are trying to gauge with the buyers of each of those countries, along with the Chamber of Commerce, and also through our Indian high commissions and embassies across the globe, where we are trying to get the buyers, buying house, buying agents to come and visit our exhibitors to whom we have digitized, and we have brought them to a platform on worldtradeexpo.org, where we have one set of people who are there to exhibit their products, which are who are either fashion designers, artisans, weavers, and business owners, merchant exporters. And on the other side, we are trying to deal with the buyers and trying to get the B2B for them. And here we are not charging any commission from any transaction which is happening between both. So it's completely, so we are trying to eliminate the middlemen in the complete value chain. And also we have partnered with the technological companies who are providing the support, like they are giving the websites, the e-commerce platform, the logistics service provider facilities towards the exhibitors. And yes, Dolly ma'am has actually mentioned that we did an experiment last year where we had an Indian designer, Etuberi, and we got designers from Indonesia, where we did an experiment of Khadi and Batik together. Now we are recently Honorable Prime Minister in his Mann Ki Baat. Last week he has announced that there is also a Khadi which is being made in Mexico by the name of Khadi, KHAADI, and they are also weavers, and they are also making it by hand. So it's a hand spun and hand woven fabric. So there's a need of bringing such innovation and their techniques and their way of weaving to our Indian weavers, so that they learn from cross country weaving techniques. So in a similar fashion, we are now trying to advocate similar concept, where we are trying to get, say, for example, we have Madmi silk of Thailand, we have lotus silk of Myanmar, then we have Godobo and from Argentina, we have Mexico from Khadi, then we have embroideries of Afghanistan from we have it from Kazakhstan and from Afghanistan. So such embroideries, patterns, and the design from different countries, we are trying to bring it and try to do a cross-country art fusion, where we have our Indian designers and our Indian weavers and exporters, and we are trying to bring the designers, exporters, and weavers of respective countries to come together and to talk about their country culture, weaves, patterns, and technology interventions, so that we learn from each other and we grow together. And also it helps our exports to their countries and open new markets for them as well. And we look forward for all your support and participations of all such people out here. And please feel free to reach Dolly ma'am on me in case of any support. And yes, I also would like to say that there was a person from, I guess, ma'am Andhra, who was from some tribal belt. So we would like to offer a complimentary stall to you, where we will be helping you to digitize your products. We will give you a platform to showcase your current products with a YouTube video and a brochure, and we will also help you to engage with the buyers. So today we are having a session which will be conducted by one of the buyers, and who will be emphasizing upon the need of and the export opportunities in the countries like Australia and New Zealand. My background is that I did my MBA from Indian Institute of Foreign Trade. I worked in the countries like Sweden, Copenhagen, and in Malaysia. Launched companies in Myanmar, Bangladesh, and Malaysia. So I have a good international experience of working both in terms of launching a product, and also working in different territories. So please feel free to reach out to me. And my strength is more towards international exports and business. I'm less textile and fashion savvy. I don't have much, in fact, knowledge on this sector. For this, I think Jahanvi ma'am and Dolly ma'am are the best mentors for the same. So yeah, thank you so much, Dolly ma'am. Anything, if anybody would like to ask any questions, so please kindly feel free to ask me.
Yeah. So thank you, Yash. So I'd spend another 5 minutes before we really call it for the day. I think it's been a very long session, and there are people who are getting restless. So I'd just share a couple of things before we move, because today and tomorrow we need to really start closing the individual registrations for the hackathon and move towards another platform which is which is being set up with our other partner called Incubate In. And we will be working in terms of really forming teams there. And after 10th, we will actually be, for all participants who are this thing, they will be more engaged in a platform like that, where you will have a Slack channel on which you can interact with each other. All the people will be onboarded on that platform, and there'll be a much bigger interaction, much better interaction amongst the people. Another 3 or 4 days we will spend on brainstorming and creating the teams. So after 10th, we will actually start working on our prototype. And by 15th, we will have an initial mentoring round, 15th, in which we will be in a position to really kind of gauge whether the product is worth really taking to the next level or not. And this is a non-evaluation kind of round. 18th, we will start looking at. So when we do a hackathon, normally a hackathon probably something not very very much practiced in the fashion industry in India. But we have now built a culture in the IT industry to really develop prototypes with some new ideas and create what is called a working model. It might not be a full-fledged, so in this case, it might not be a full-fledged fashion garment. It could be, so we've three categories that we have kept. One and the whole idea is to really create usable and sustainable products using khadi and handloom and natural fabrics, as well as really bringing in some of the new concepts of bringing in, embedding the garments with technology, trying to really wearables that are usable, especially in India. I think the sports and the healthcare is one area that we would like to kind of focus on. And so there is one category for health wearables, which could be embedded garments, or it could be garments with external support to this thing. So embedded means that you can have LEDs embedded into it, or some kind of textile weaving into the garment, which can be easily done. Today, there are specific kits that are available, and one just needs to understand how to go about it. And the next couple of days, they can work on it. I think normally for the IT-based hackathons, we do it in 2 or 3 days maximum. In fashion industry, we are experimenting with a longer duration, because one that both don't understand or talk to each other. But more importantly, we need to really do a lot of brainstorming together to really form teams and have these this thing. So let's see how it goes in terms of the actual project. But I am hopeful. I've been interacting with some of the participants of the program who have been consistently working on the various bootcamp sessions. And they have come up with some very interesting ideas where I have given them some inputs. But we'd like to have a little more engagement from JD to really see how we could now take this to the next level. Considering that it is festival time, it's both an opportunity as well as a problem or a hindrance of having the availability of everybody. But I'm very sure that at least there is a first step that has been taken, and there's a long way to go. But we've been trying to really bring in some of the industry experts who have actually created a name for themselves in the fashion tech area, and we'll already we've had 3 sessions on that, and now today was the 4th session. We will have another session from Shamsheikh. Uh, Shamsheikh is actually into the fashion. It's a fashion brand which has a global acceptance, but their basic forte has been in terms of. So Samiksha Bajaj comes from Delhi. So we've had the opportunity to engage with her, and she's been kind enough to come on Monday and spend some time with us, talking about what they're doing, and a technology session in which she would explain what is the technology behind the. So this is probably something that would bring more engagement into the whole system. And let's see if we can at least have 15, 20 teams working on project ideas. They might be very simple ideas, but the idea is that we need to learn in the whole process by engaging with both the IT side or the technology side, the IT technology, I would say, not on this thing, and solve some of the critical problems that are facing the fashion industry. And considering that the fashion industry is almost touching $3 trillion, is more than the economy of the entire country. So if we really even have a minuscule share, we might improve our GDP much better. So I am very, very focused on trying to see how we could induct fashion tech in a big way in the country, especially starting with sportswear and lifestyle products which are usable. I've already started receiving requests from some of the healthcare professionals that they want to really get some of things done. So I said, why don't you support the hackathon, and we'll make sure that you really get a product at the end of the day. It might not be as classy as what is produced in the this thing, but you can have a prototype, and then of course some startup can make it more of a product that can be taken to the masses. And there's an ample amount of opportunity in that. Already Reliance is tied up with and they have a brand now which is being used by most of the active sportswear companies, where the fabric itself has the embedding the electronics into the garments. And there are nanotechnology material which is now easily available. So there is a tremendous amount of opportunities if we really bring these players together and give the people to really think out of the box and come out with some ideas. We can churn out some very interesting products in the whole. So with that, I'd like to thank especially Jahanvi ji to really give a whole amount of, 3 hours is quite a long session. But I think everybody was fully engaged. We didn't have, even now we have still quite a number of participants. And as this thing that we have done in the last few sessions, I would like to really invite everybody to switch on their webcam so that we can have a group picture as a part of remembrance that we have all participated in this workshop. So and if anybody has any query, please feel free to reach out to either me or Yash. Our contacts are easily available on the website, as well as we've been sharing the messages to all the registered participants. So all the participants, I would like to invite all of you to share your webcam for a group picture before we close. Alka Jaiswal. Yes, thank you. Rita ji, how are you? I'm sorry, putting everybody on mute in a workshop is something that a precaution that I take. Otherwise, the flow really gets completely haywire. But everyone can start their webcam. There is no restriction to that. Darshana, Chitra, Ayushi, Lekha. Anybody else who would like to really put this thing on, webcam on, so that we can have a final picture? Okay, here we go. Say cheese. Thank you. So with that, I'll end the session. Thank you very much, Jahanvi ji. Thank you very much, Bhavna ji, to be a constant support, to give us all the inputs and refer some of the best speakers that we've had. Thank you so much. And we're looking forward to the next session that is on 9th. In between, just for the interest of anybody who's into the business side of this thing, there is a link that has been shared by Yash Arya. There is another session that's happening on at 3 o'clock. So you can attend that in case anybody is interested. And it's available on the, it was available on the chat window, so you can take down the details. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, all the participants. And we are looking forward to engaging more on the future sessions also, so that we can really make this a happening movement, not a one-off event. It's the reason why we had it a 21-day event as a fashion summit, that we want to really make fashion as an integral part of the total offering, not just a hackathon. Hackathon is to really innovate, but the innovation will only come when we really engage with each other. Thank you, everybody. And with that, I'd like to close the session. I'm going to have this recording up in a day or two, so people can view the recording. The picture will be available on the website. There is a presentation on the site that is smartedge.work, fashion.tech.smartedge.work. You have a presentation on which the picture of the previous as well as this session would be available. So anybody who's interested can have a view and take that. Thank you so much, all of you.